This is episode number 24 of the Riff Tacos podcast. My name is Paul Misko, and today's guest is Jon Hunt, vocalist of metalcore pioneers Dead to Fall. If you're familiar with the era, they obviously need no introduction. They're an awesome band, awesome dudes. I've always been a fan. My band From a Second Story Window did tour with them more so before I joined the band. So the guys that already knew each other by the time I came on, but I don't think we ever did a full tour together once I joined. I think we just did like a handful of shows. I remember playing with them in their hometown in Chicago, a couple festivals, ran into them in Europe. So I do know Jon, but I never got the opportunity to get close with him like you usually would, being on the road together for weeks and weeks. So looking forward to getting to know him better. He's now living in Madrid, Spain, teaching music, seems to be living his best life. So looking forward to talking about that, the life he's building out there, and of course, the history of Dead to Fall. Quick reminder before we get started, if you're enjoying the show, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications on YouTube. If you're on Spotify or Apple, follow the show so you don't miss new episodes, and please leave a rating. It really helps me out. Let's get into it. This is Riff Tacos with Jon Hunt. Mr. Jon Hunt, thank you so much for doing this, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so it looks like you are living your best life out in Spain based off your email. So how long have you been there now?
I'm in my third year here, man. Yeah, I accepted a teaching gig out here in Madrid. I had left teaching when I became a teacher after Dead to Fall, so I guess there's that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's what I was in school for before we got signed, and when I dropped out and we started touring, I just went back. I finished my degree in 2012, and then I taught in Florida for about a decade. Went through a divorce, sold everything I owned, was kind of on my eat, pray, love journey, traveling around, and a really good friend of mine from high school sent me a message on Instagram, was like, "Hey, it looks like you don't have a job. Do you want a job?" And I was like, maybe, I don't know, tell me about it. So it kind of landed in my hand that there was this position available out here in Madrid, and I never thought about teaching internationally. I honestly didn't think I was going to be a teacher anymore, maybe. But the way it just kind of fell in my lap, and I was like, I have to take it. So moved here. Since I've gotten married again, my wife is from Costa Rica, but she lives here with me in Spain with our two dogs. And
awesome. Congratulations,
I love it,
brother.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks.
How long have you been married now?
Almost 2 months.
Congrats. That's sick.
Yeah,
I didn't know how recent it was. I was reading your email. I was like, man, he sounds like the most interesting man in the world now. Out teaching music in Spain and doing yoga. And you said you wanted to start a yoga shala in the jungle?
Yeah, we have a property in the south of Costa Rica in near the Corcovado Peninsula, near a town called Uvita. And our dream is eventually to build a yoga shala on that property. Eventually build a house first, but then build a yoga shala there so that in this hypothetical dream world, people are just going to pay to come study and practice at this yoga shala, and that will be enough for me to eat and survive the rest of my life. And then I never have to leave that jungle property again and just
that's
be there.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
When did you get into yoga?
I mean, let me think. I always I dabbled in taking classes here and there. Definitely not when I was touring or anything like that. But living in Florida, I took a couple gym yoga classes just at a Crunch Fitness that I'd signed up for, and then took more and more classes, started practicing just a Hatha Flow regular classes and going to a couple different places in Tampa. And then I discovered Ashtanga yoga about 2 years ago here in Madrid. I started practicing at a shala here, and now it's it's not all the way cult-like or all the way to the place of a religious experience, but I'm trying to go 4 times a week when I can, when I'm in good health and not obligated by other things like concerts at night and things at school. But it's the best thing I have found to center myself. And this I mean, everybody who's ever met me knows there's this just bubble of energy that's constantly there. And my brain, I think most musicians, is going a million miles a minute and on 17 different things. And yoga has really found it's not making any of that go away, but I feel like I'm okay with it and I can just handle the intensity of being alive, if that makes sense.
I don't think that ever goes away. So we just need to find ways to work with it and exist with it.
Yeah.
Right. I started doing yoga probably 3 or 4 years ago. It's very light, like a couple times a week, but just that got rid of like my old man back pain. And,
Absolutely.
I just feel great because, before when you're younger, I'm like, yoga is just lame stretching, like,
Right.
like I don't want to do
Right.
that stupid shit. And then you do it and you feel great and you're like, oh, wow. So I bought my yoga mat. I do it like right behind me in this open space, at least twice a week, just in the morning to get started. And like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I watched a couple videos, but I know enough. Like, I like these poses. This works for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's what Ashtanga is. Ashtanga is the same poses in the same order every time you practice. And so you don't have to do this like, oh, what pretzel shape is the teacher making? Okay, let me try to make that shape. Oh, I don't know that posture. Let me figure this posture out. None of that's happening anymore in that real time of taking a class. And so you're really focused on the breath in between each posture and moving from one to the other. And the whole flow it's really a simple way of thinking about it, because you don't have to worry about, and the teacher is not teaching a class. When I go to practice, you can go at any time, start your practice, and they're walking around adjusting you, giving you tips on particular postures you're working on. And my teacher knows my body at this point, so she'll just like walk by. She goes, how's your back today? Is your knee hurting? Like those types of things are really, it's a different style of practice than what most people I think are used to with like watching a video, or like, I think people are like, oh, I've done this practice before, I need to change it up and do something different. It's like, you could do the same thing, and that monotony of doing the same thing opens you up to realizing this isn't about my body. This isn't a physical like fitness thing I'm trying to attain. I'm doing this for my brain. I'm doing this for like my mental state and the way that I feel afterwards. It's so then I can let go of like, oh, I need to make it into this posture or that posture. It just makes it this like, I'm here for my brain, and that I know that it's good for me to do it,
And man, could we have used that when we were living in a van,
For
the mental side and the physical side, obviously, like the pain from sleeping on benches and playing shows every night. Like, wow.
And like we were in our 20s doing that and had pain. There was, we did 3 shows in a row this summer, and it was just like, I was completely wrecked. Like I had no voice, my neck was shot, and I wanted to headbang and run around like I'm in my 20s, and I'm doing my absolute best, right? Like, but it's still just old man body's falling apart 20 years later,
Yeah, I watched, I think, one of those shows on YouTube when I was just kind of like seeing what you guys have been up to, and I was like, God damn, his hair whips are still amazing. So I can only imagine what your neck felt like after that.
Hey, I got to give credit to Corpse Grinder with the hair whip technique. That I saw from a Cannibal Corpse video, is that you put your thumb underneath the jawline right here, and then push your first fingers against this part of your face, and it forms like a seal, so the microphone can't move, and then you can hair whip till the cows come home, because it's just like it's stuck on your face. You're like hooking it underneath your jawbone.
Yeah, that was even more impressive, because I was like, he's fucking singing while he's doing that. And it was really fucking going. I was like, hell yeah.
that is like, if I got a couple moves, that's one of them, man. Like, I'm gonna do the hair whips. And some of those shows I recently, like, it's not even recent anymore, like last year I cut my hair to like here, but at some of those shows my hair was back down to my hips, and that's like that's got some weight on it, man. It'll carry, and like I'm whipping everybody on the stage, and just
especially when it gets wet.
Yeah, streams of sweat just splattering on everyone. Like, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, this is about as long as my hair ever gets before I start to get sick of it and cut it. But this time it's not bothering me as much.
Yeah, well, summer will start, and then you'll start to hate it.
Yeah, well, I'm back in Ohio now, so the summers here are beautiful, because I was in Texas for 7 years in Austin, and the summers was 107 every day. It's just like you don't even want to go outside. So I fucking shaved my head, full razored it, and just was like, this is awesome.
No, that's a move, man. I cut my hair short when the band broke up and I went back to school. And in this initial I'm going to be a normal person and cut my hair short, and that lasted like 2 years, and then I'm back to growing my hair out. It's just, I feel more comfortable like this, I think.
Yeah, once we like become that like version of ourselves, and then you try to go back to normal life, like it's just like, I'm always going to be somewhat that guy, like forever. You can't get it out of you. Yeah,
exactly. Or even like going to shows or being around large groups of people. I think that's something that touring definitely taught me, is how to engage with like a large group of people socially at the same time. Right. When you're thinking about like the bands on tour, and you're like making friendships 30 people at a time, and having these side conversations and just really learning how to shoot the shit, basically. And then then you've got your standard merch table talk with whoever wants to talk to you at the same time. But it is like, I feel like I'm in like a natural place when I'm around a group of like 20 people. It's just like, I'm like, yeah, I could talk to all of you guys at the same time. I know how to do that.
Yeah, it is like, it really helped me come out of my shell because I was always pretty shy. And then like, my first times getting up on stage, even though there wasn't very many people there, obviously, like just that breaks you out and you feel like you get a new like sense of confidence and like, oh, I can do this. It's not that crazy. And like just going on tour and meeting bands that were bigger than us that I was like shy to talk to. And then like, I don't know, it really helped me in many ways in life, just like take a lot from that to what I can use, as a real normal person in the real world.
Right. And that feeling of like, oh wait, you're not this guy that's like some god or whatever. You're just another dude doing the same thing I'm doing. You're just more successful at it and been doing it longer. But you're still just doing the same thing, and it really like levels out those playing fields. Like I think my most recent one was we played a fest in Texas in 2017, and Bleeding Through played it. And Brendan was on the side of the stage singing along to songs from Villainy. And I realized, I'm like, I don't know if we've ever even played a show together, but like, I'm sitting there going, I'm like, I fucking love your band. And I've seen your band 100 times, like I enjoy seeing Bleeding Through. They're just a fun band to watch live. And I'm like, you know the words to our song? What the fuck? And then I'm like, yeah, of course, like that's not that weird, but like at the same time, I was like, this is awesome. Like this dude that I really likes the songs that I'm playing right now. And
that kind of shit never gets old. Like you never get used to it because you always still feel like I'm the same guy just trying to do this and nobody knows who we really are, and then something like that happens and you're like, whoa, like you see your impact and all the hard work.
Here's a really cool one. It was a dude got lyrics tattooed on his ribcage, right? But he got them tattooed so long ago, they've blurred and faded and you can't read them anymore. So not only is it like the dude has the words I scribbled in my notebook about whatever I was angry about, and he has those tattooed on him, which is like amazing that even exists. But the fact he got it so long ago that the tattoo, you can't even read it anymore, like that's
really cool.
Just a whole nother layer to it, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you and I met? Because I know you guys toured with From a Second Story Window before I joined.
Yeah,
and I was trying to rack my brain. I think it was Robot Moshfest the first time I met you.
Oh God! All right, so which Robot Mosh? It would have been 06, right?
07 was the one I played.
07. Okay, is that the one Black Dahlia Murder headlined?
Yes.
Do you remember? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that was a wild fest. That lineup is insane. If you look up Robot Moshfest lineups, like it's insane the bands that were on these lineups. But the hotel parties afterwards were like were a whole nother layer. And I don't know if that was the year that Warrant was playing the State Fair and they were at the same hotel with us, and like somebody that was in one of the tour packages ended up stealing their pizza and like because I pretended they were with Warrant and took the pizza from the front counter and like fed everybody.
Oh my God. That sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not sure.
It was the dudes in Carnivale that pulled that off. Okay. And then the year I think that we're talking about was a year that we were having a party in a hotel room like you tend to have. Everybody's smoking, hanging out, drinking. And somebody else was having a party down the other end of the hotel. And then the cops, we were afraid were going to come because there's two loud parties on the same floor. And then this dude started screaming and trying to pound down a door on the other end of the hallway. And he's just like laying into this door, trying to get into the room, screaming. And we're like, dude, you're going to get the cops called on all of us. You're going to fuck this whole thing up. So I go down there to try to talk to the dude. And he's trying to, like, it's some domestic situation. He's trying to get back into his room. His partner or whatever had kicked him out of. And I'm like, bro, you need to calm down. Like, you got to stop yelling. Let's see if we can sort this out. And he pulls a knife on me. Like, pulls a knife out of his pocket. So I, like, look for a second and then sprint the other way. And he's chasing after me. And then my inner dad just snapped. Like, this, like, moment appeared where I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to commit a felony because I asked you to be quiet? You don't even deserve that knife. You're an idiot. And the dude methed out, drugged out, whatever he was. I said, give me the knife. And he just handed it to me. And then I'm like, no one else was in the hallway. So, like, I realized at this point I have this knife, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back into our room because I can't believe this all just happened. But I should have just kept running. Some idiot, I just turn around and start to, like, yell at this guy and convince him to give me the knife. So those are my two hotel Robot Moshfest stories, which is One of them as well, I tried to set up a tent in the front because the hotel was sold out and the cops kicked me out. I don't know if it was a different year or not. All those blur together as the same memory.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't even deserve that knife is the best line.
You don't even deserve that knife.
Yeah, I remember sitting outside. We started drinking so early. It was definitely bright, sunny out. We had the vans like this, and we were in between the vans and lawn chairs. And it was the first day I met you guys. I met Black Dahlia for the first time. And I had been in the band for about a year at that point, I guess. But it was still like I was getting to meet newer, bigger bands. So that was my experience, like meeting you guys for the first time. Like, holy shit. And then, oh, yeah, we're all just dudes sitting here having a beer, like having a good time. Like, and everyone was cool as fuck. Trevor was cool as fuck. I did a video about that, like on my YouTube. The first time meeting him was that day. We played. It was still pretty early. The place was, the sweat box. Do you remember? Just drenched.
Yeah. It was like a roller skating rink, right?
Yeah. Just like no ventilation, no AC. Just like you could feel the moisture all over you as soon as you walk in. So we played with no one had a shirt on.
No.
And
why
then,
would you?
Walking out the back ramp, pushing my cabinet down there. I get to the bottom, and I see this ice-cold beer just slam down on top of it. And I look up, and it's Trevor with no shirt on. And he goes, great fucking set, dude. Like, have a beer. And I was like, oh, holy shit, it's Trevor. And, like, just the sweetest, nicest guy, as everyone said. That's the only time I met him or spent any time with him. But such a great day. I'll always remember that fest.
Yeah, that Andy Parman and Steve Roche and like some of the other people that were putting together those, and like actually probably like the entire Milwaukee scene at some point was getting involved with those fests. But they were like it was really, really DIY for how big of the bands that were on it that became so big. But it's such a DIY fest. It's like a very small stage in a roller rink, like no security, no like backstage. Really, it was just death metal parking lot all day long. Like everybody's just hanging out.
The door to the outside. There was no room to hang out in. Nothing.
Yeah. And those fests were pretty incredible, man. Like that's it's a very like niche moment in time that I think we got to live as well, where there was like the internet was starting to blow up music and you had lots of access to it, but it was still like a very small community that was listening to this style of music. So all the bands knew each other. You knew the same people in every single city. I mean, whatever, you roll in, even the biggest bands were pulling 300-400 people. It wasn't like this massive thing, so it got to be really close, and like it felt familial at that point. I wonder if touring still feels that way, but I'm so far removed from it. I don't know if people still feel this, like, I guess you're on that road, that circus mentality of like, we're all clowns together traveling from town to town. You get that feeling, but this, like, we're doing something special. I don't know if it feels like that anymore, but
I don't know.
I'm
There's
too
so
far
many,
removed.
Like, I always felt like what we were doing then was always going to stay kind of underground and never really blow up past that. And then like the MySpace era kind of got even bigger after we broke up, like with Suicide Silence and the whole deathcore movement and all that. And then all of a sudden, like, Warped Tour is really heavy, and like I'm seeing these bands blow up. Bring Me the Horizon is like the biggest band in the world. I'm just like, wow, like we were a little bit too early.
That's breaking up, because you guys broke up 09?
08, same as you guys,
08,
I think, right?
Yeah, 08. And it really did, like, the record, we broke up 3 days after we put a record out, which is, like, ridiculous that you would
We
do
broke
that.
up a month before.
It's like,
yeah,
like it's the tensions. I watched the snippet that was on your Instagram of you and Joe talking about this, and I think it is this, like, the business is getting successful and people are liking what we're doing, but we're not surviving. Like, yes, we're making a little bit of money, but the tensions that come up when you can't even, like, give somebody enough money at the end of the tour to pay off the merch, or like the van broke down and there goes all the money that you'd saved up. And it was just grinding it out. And the grinding it out really affected the relationships within the band.
Hey friends, if you're enjoying the show, reminder to hit the subscribe button and like the episode on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please follow the show and leave a quick rating. It really helps me out a lot. And if you know someone who'd enjoy it, please share the episode with them too. Thanks so much. All right, back to it.
And that's really what we struggle to mend, the relationships that we're breaking, and that's why we broke up. There could have been that possibility of, like, let's get a 7th guitar player, but like at some point I was also just like, all right, man, like, you don't even have a door you can close that you can claim to be your own. Like, maybe you should
I never
consider
had an
something
apartment.
else.
I never had anything. It was just like we were gone so often, luckily, that I didn't really need to. But I also couldn't find a job when I would come home because I didn't have like really any connections through family or anything. So I would get like a telemarketing job because they'll hire anyone. It's a constant rotating door, you know. And
what's the worst thing you telemarketed?
It was probably like selling OSHA pamphlets to construction companies, shit like that. So you're calling these dudes who are just old and angry already, and you're like, I'd like to sell you this, you know, thing, sir. And they're like, fuck off, hang up, you know, like
right.
Just like the last people you want to call.
I had a telemarketing job. I had to call and ask for money from old people for the Republican National Committee.
Oh man,
That made it one day.
Yeah. Did you have jobs throughout the tours, or were you gone enough that you kind of didn't need to?
We averaged 200 shows a year, so I would get like work a festival that a friend of mine was putting on, or I would try to find like sometimes every now and then I could do a merch gig if I had a long enough break, or doing like a door gig at a bar. But like you said, it's nothing stable. And no employer wants to count on somebody who's going to be gone half of the year or more. Yeah. You know, like they're not going to like be considering you even an employee at that point. Yeah. No, like I struggled to find work too.
Yeah, there was a point when I kind of like went through all of the telemarketing companies multiple times enough that they even were like, nah, like, cause we know you're just going to leave again. And I was like, shit, like, I don't know what to do. So I'd sleep at my friend's house when I was home for a month and then go out on the road again and make my Taco Bell money. And, you know, that's it. Come home with like nothing. If the van broke down or a few $100, whatever we could, you know, pay each other. And after years and years of that, it's just like, like, what the fuck are we going to do? How we ever, like some of the guys were getting ready to like, we want to have kids, we want to start a life. And if this isn't going to fund it, you know, it's, you know, time to move on. So there was probably at least a year prior to us breaking up where we started to get over it. There were the jokes we used to always say, like someone said once, just about done here. And then we'd start screaming that across the venue to each other while loading in and shit. Like every time anything little went wrong. And it's just, the fun part and all that kind of fades after so long where you're just like, okay, if we can't get past this next level, like we got to call it.
And I wonder if I had, you know, like hindsight's 2020, right? You're like, if I just done 2 more years, like, or 3 more albums or 4 more albums. And but like, the life I lived after has been a whole nother chapter that I'm really excited about. And I don't think I have regrets as far as like letting go of Dead to Fall when it was time. But we had the same thing. Like our album is called "Are You Serious?" because that was ours. Like anytime something would happen, we'd go, "Are you serious?" And it was just like an inside joke between us. Yeah, and like, the album's essentially about the like self implosion of the band. Like there's little references all over the fact that the shit was about to fall apart, all over the record.
I remember when that record came out. I think we might have been. Maybe we were already done at the time, but I remember where I was living. Yeah, I was, because I remember listening to it, reading your lyrics, and going, I'm relating to this so much. I know exactly what he's saying. In the song, I actually listened to it earlier to reread the lyrics because I remember which one it was. Stupid.
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely. I know exactly what he's feeling. And like, yeah, it's like a comedic tone to it, but like this is also like frustration and like just kind of being over it. Like
the shit is fucking stupid. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the, oh shit, it's the death metal riff. I better sing about some face ripping, cat raping bullshit, sit in my room and write about some brutal shit I know I'm never going to do. Like just making a joke out of all of it. I wrote that down earlier. I was like, man, I totally remember getting it then. And even now, like, yeah, that's the feeling right there. Like,
all right, now imagine me singing the lyrics, right? Except I recorded them. You know, do you know Mike Schleibaum, Darkest Hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. He engineered and produced that record. Okay. So, we ran out of time in the studio for my vocals, so I tracked that song in his bathroom.
Oh no shit!
And I had all the lyrics written down on little like Post-its and like maybe it was the side of a cardboard box or something. But he had the lyrics for a really long time. He said he wanted to like mount it somewhere or whatever. But it was awesome. That song is, and if you listen to it, it is essentially Chum Fiesta again. Like it's just like the riff is pretty close, and the formula, which Logan came up with the formula. It's the Strength Beyond Strength formula. It's just thrash, 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 breakdown, and 2.5 minutes. Lowest is almost the same formula, but it's too short. It's only a minute and a half. You got to go 2.5 minutes for the formula. Right. You got to make it through 2 verses. You know, Sean, I think only maybe got a half verse in on that song. I'm not quite sure how that goes.
Yeah, that's just part after part after part breakdown.
Right, 100%. But that was that's the formula that we really liked. We're like, just fast breakdown. It worked great. Let's do it again. And so then it was like, yeah, it's kind of lame that we're doing a formula. All right, yeah, let's put a breakdown. Okay, let's sing about putting a breakdown at the end because that's what everyone does. But that was I actually that came upon that song recently and listened to. I was showing my wife some of our stuff and was like explaining those lyrics. I'm like, this is why. Do you know the rapper Aesop Rock? Mm-hmm. He just put out a new single, and the beginning of it is exactly like the beginning of "Are You Serious?" The IQ test was like, "Relax, focus on the arpeggios," and it's like him introducing the song in like such a similar way. I was like, "Wait, what? This sounds exactly the same." So
that's great.
I got kind of revisited.
It gave me the vibe of what's the guy that was a huge hit in the 90s? He was like a one-hit wonder. The dude who played the harmonica, and he wore the harmonica strap. Blues Traveler.
Oh, yeah.
The lyrics to his hit song has like the same vibe of making fun of writing a hook. It's called Hook, right? Yeah. I recently listened to that and read the lyrics. I was like, this is fucking amazing. And I had no idea that that's what it was the whole time.
Right, and it's I'm a big fan of like jokes inside jokes in lyrics, and there's a lot of songs that are metaphors for like things that happened or whatever, and I just make them sound metal. So like, and that song has like a bunch of little like basically inside jokes for Dead to Fall. Like one time Phil said "botgun that sheer" instead of "shotgun that beer," so like that's now the lyric at the front of the song, right? So that's one of the things I enjoyed about writing lyrics was getting to toss those little jokes in that maybe I'll explain someday, or maybe I'm just the only one who thinks this is funny. But that's they're definitely all over our stuff, where there's just like little nuances or references to stuff I was listening to or friends I made and things like that. And I enjoy doing that. Yeah.
So was Are You Serious the last thing you guys put out until your recent singles? Was that? Yep.
That happened 2008. We did like a last show in 2009. Which was really, really phenomenal. That was the only time this has ever happened, probably ever will happen, but we had 4, like, as close to the 4 different lineups as we could play the Metro. Veil of Maya played, Carnivale did their last show, another band, Devil's Pie, was their last show. Nice. And it was just like a really great send-off and we closed with songs off the first record. So then that happened in 2009, and it essentially was to pay off all the debt that was on my credit card left from Dead to Fall, because, like, I took it all on personally, right? Like an idiot. But then 2015, we did a tour with Darkest Hour. They were doing Undoing Ruin, I think, anniversary tour, and they asked us to do some of it. And that was the lineup from Are You Serious? And then that lineup had talked about maybe writing, maybe doing something else. Nothing ever came from it. So then I thought, like, let's do a Everything I Touch Falls to Pieces show with that lineup, because like those were my friends from high school. That's who I started the band with in 99. Like I joined the band Dead to Fall. That was already a band. I was the third singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a demo tape with 2 singers. One went on to sing in the band End This Day. I don't know if you ever heard of them or not.
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, they were another Midwest metalcore band. But then, yeah, I guess I get into the start of Dead to Fall, but it was then 2015, 2016, we started doing like 2-3 shows a year. And I think we wrote like 10 songs that were like, the song's almost done. It's not that great. And it's like tossed it over the next 5 years. Yeah. And then we kind of got this resurgence around 2020. We had just recorded a song that we put out as like then a fundraiser for our friends in Chicago, Milwaukee, with venues that they had that were trying to get some operating expenses going through COVID. And then we released the 3 singles that we did right before the Furnace Fest we played in 2022.
Sick. Yeah. I listened to all 3 of those today. I think they're fucking great. It seems like that 2020 and on seems to be like the magic number for bands from our era to come back. Like everyone's coming back after the Wax Festival releases. It's like this resurgence in that era, and I think everyone who's coming back is also like doing their best shit too. Like Sawtooth, that their new record was so good. I think it's called my favorite one is called Good, that they put out 2021, I think it was.
I totally missed that. I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, their singer was on here 5 or 6 episodes ago. Great dude, sick. But I'd never realized they broke up like before my grind band was called Robinson. We came out after them, and I'd always heard Sawtooth Grin. They were like these legends pre-MySpace, before that whole era, and then they were gone before we even did anything. So I was like, oh, that's why we never played a show with them. But yeah, check that out. That's really good. But yeah, I was listening to what was the most recent one, or they kind of all came out at the same time. Was it Rotten Decay?
Rotten Decay, yeah.
Yeah. So I know I was reading your Bandcamp and you said it was kind of tough to write about your previous marriage ending, right?
Yep.
Um, but reading those lyrics too, like I related to that a lot, like the what it felt like the depression you were feeling
Yeah.
and like kind of like exhausted with the healing process you said.
Yep.
If you want to talk about that a little bit, because that's like a stark difference from the last lyrics on Are You Serious? So it's like this is a new Jon Hunt we're kind of hearing from all these years later.
And I think that's something that I didn't ever really want to like write about or like tie into. It's kind of like, yeah, metal, depression, those things make sense to write about. But it was like this, it's almost, I'm a very positive person for the most part. I think I have a pretty up energy. I like to be around people. I like to engage. I have fun with friends, that kind of stuff, right? But when I'm in this, like, I was in a funk that I couldn't even figure out how to break out of. And then like going to therapy just felt exhausting. And it's like, why am I still talking about this? It's not getting better. Like, yeah, trust the process, but the process sucks. Like, I don't want to trust this, you know, like this isn't, I really like numbing myself more than I like dealing with this. And so there's definitely, I quit drinking in 2022. But there was still like a lot of that right around that time. I think I was in a breaking point with my relationship with alcohol at that point in regards to numbing some of the things that I was feeling. But it was this feeling of like, I just want to give, just like, I don't want people to care about me anymore. I just want to like fade off into the distance and disappear. You know, and I didn't, like, I don't know if it would get all the way to suicidal ideations, but it was a similar type of feeling that, I just didn't want to exist on the earth. Like, it was just like a lot of pain and it didn't feel good. And I didn't see
You don't want to kill yourself, but you don't want to be here either.
Right. Yeah. And I think I've lost enough friends through suicide that's the only thing that would keep me from even going there, is knowing the pain I would cause other people, right? By doing that. Right. But it was a pretty dark spot. And I think moving to Spain was partially also running away from that. And trying to start a fresh thing somewhere else with like that. Nobody knows me. I don't know anything. Like, I can just start over. But like, you can't run away from your feelings. You can't run away from your past. Like, it's gonna come with you no matter where you go. So the process through yoga and through a hell of a lot more therapy, I do feel like I'm a totally different person than that person was.
Even just 3 years ago.
Just even 3 years ago. And I read those lyrics back and I think about how dark that was. I don't know if this happens to you when you play guitar in the way that you feel about songs when you write them, but definitely when I'm singing songs, even the ones that I wrote in like 2001, I kind of flash back to the memory of writing that song when I perform it. You know, like some of those emotions still come out.
I always say that that riffs to me are like, you know, a sense of smell that triggers memories.
Okay.
So that feeling, wherever the shape my hand's in, the sound I'm hearing, it takes me right back to same exact thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And music is super powerful with that. You know, like they talk about people that have Alzheimer's or have dementia and their connection to music being much stronger than their connection to language. And you know, they may be in a place where they're nonverbal, but then a song comes on and they have a reaction to it. And music lives in a different place of our memory. And so I think being musicians, that of course it ties into a particular feeling, but it still makes it mentally exhausting to perform the songs when they're dark. You know,
that's so sometimes when you see a singer break down and cry, they're not always putting on a show. They're really, you know, feeling that.
Yeah.
Taking them back to that place. But yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I was reading through your lyrics, listening to some songs I hadn't heard in a long time. And like that one really hit home and it was really powerful, because I went through like a tough time myself from like 2018 to like about 2022, kind of like the same area. My girlfriend and I had broken up. We're back together now. Everything's great. But I had moved to Texas with her, left LA, which I was in for 8 years previously. And then I was kind of left alone in that city and didn't know anybody. And she moved to Houston. At the same time, my job was going poorly. I wasn't doing anything creative. So I was just a shell and just going out and drinking all the time and just numbing it. So like reading through those lyrics, I was like, that's exactly what I was feeling. And you said there are walls of protection. No one gets in, but I can't get out. I was like, that was fucking me. That
Yeah,
was
dude.
it. Like,
Yep.
so I was like, yes, I get exactly what he was saying. And you also said you wrote it next to a volcano in Portugal, which was fucking awesome, right?
Yeah, it's in the Azores Islands. They're volcanic islands. They're all dormant volcanoes, but there's a particular dormant volcano I hiked one morning and walked. It's the farthest edge of the island, and I was looking west, so towards North America, and just
Right.
thinking about like conquistadors or whatever, like Columbus and all these people. Like there was like it's this old Spanish Portuguese fort that was there, right? So yeah, it would be Portuguese, not Spanish, because it's Portuguese islands. But thinking like this was a stop that these people made before they left to this unknown out there, and it just like I wrote a smidgen of those lyrics at that spot in 2016 in a notebook, and then that line sparked the whole rest of the song in 2021 when I was writing it. Digging through an old notebook. Which had a lot of that trip that I was on was with my ex-wife as well. So there was like these connections to all of it that was in some way, I think, also healing to just put it out there and be vulnerable and like to say to everybody, like, I'm not okay. I'm not doing great.
Because you spend so much of your time when you feel like that hiding it,
Yeah.
trying to be like, I'm good. So I get like, it is great to just be like, I'm not fucking good. This fucking sucks. Like I'm broken,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like literally broken. And that's like a place you can't really get to healing until you identify that there's something wrong I need to fix.
Yeah.
And the causes they dig back way deeper than what I was just dealing with in that moment, even with the relationship and everything else. But just the things I've dealt with in my own anxieties, my own fears, and like things that have been around since I was a little kid have just like continued to come up. And those are the things I think I didn't realize about the healing process when I wrote that song was that it's so much bigger than what I think I'm right now. I think I'm just coping with this situation. Right. And that's what I'm struggling with. But in actuality, I needed to cope with every single thing.
That was the culmination of all the shit you haven't dealt with forever.
Correct.
Yeah. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Powerful shit, people.
Yeah. But it is possible. And like, as even in those dark moments, I think like, it's really easy to say you got to count on your friends, but like having people that you can be vulnerable to say like, I'm not doing all right. I think is something that, I hope everybody can find a way to at least have one person they would feel comfortable saying that to. Being men as well, I think coming out of, the growing up in the 90s and then even into the 2000s, that like, I don't think metalcore had a lot of toxic masculinity, but there still was this macho thing that existed, and it still exists in like in metal and hardcore in this like the peacocking in the pit of like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of people, I'm this big tough guy, and like you couldn't survive in prison for like an hour. You're just beating up 17-year-old kids. Like who are you?
I never liked that side of it. I was just always like, I'm just the shy, like the weirdo art shit. Like that's what I'm here for,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I like moshing. Don't get me wrong. We played with Walls of Jericho last summer, and I'm gonna two-step when Walls of Jericho's playing. It's just what's gonna happen. But it is like a there's just something about, and I think that's part of what made me not even want to continue in the scene, if you will, was that it just had become so incredibly violent of like big tough guys like demanding merch from you to protect the show, and like almost extorting you basically so that you don't get beat up, and then just like seeing just people get dragged out of pits and going in an ambulance, right? And like it really started to feel less familial, if you will. And there was like a weird 2009 to 2012. There was like a weird like pseudo gang thing that was happening in hardcore that was bleeding into metalcore and metal, and it was just like it just turned me off to everything. It's like get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So after you've been through like so much shit yourself too with the band, sometimes it's like we needed that break. We all did. Like just let's go try normal life for a while and like see how we can balance things. And was that like a crazy transition for you back into normal life, like switching gears to like, okay, cut the hair short, get a job? Like, what was that like?
Well, I worked construction demolition first, that before I went back to school. And it's so insane to say now because like, duh, of course, but it was like mentally weird for me after having spent so like 6 years that every other night on average, I can go to the venue where I'm playing and there will be somebody that wants to talk to me just because I'm in this band that I'm in. There'll be somebody that wants to buy me a beer. Or if I go back to Chicago, I might bump into somebody who like knows who the band is. Like, and I have this kind of feeling about myself as being this big important person who like all these people respect. And then I moved to Florida and I'm working demolition and like I go in a bar and nobody knows who the fuck I am. I'm just another drunk dude that just got done working construction. You know, like and yes, of course that's just what everybody feels, right? It's just you're a person going into the bar, but it took me like months of like mental adjustment to like feel like I was worth something because I'd attached so much of my value to being the guy from Dead to Fall, and I couldn't place value on myself outside of that, and I think that took me a while to come back around to.
Yeah, it becomes your identity, so it's hard, and then like we're still carrying that with us to this day, you know, like. Yeah. You just got to learn how to deal with it and go, that's a different side of my life that sometimes I get to do that still. And that's cool. And then I have this side of my life, you know, with wife and dogs and yoga and life, you know, like I think
I teach music to little kids all day long and teach them to play the recorder and the xylophone and like sing folk songs.
So like, did you have a traditional like music background to know that stuff, or did you learn it later? Or
so my father is actually a music professor. And I'm a 4th generation teacher. So I think like my earliest musical memories exist like me being a toddler trying to play piano or listening to my dad. My dad played French horn in the Essen Philharmonic, which I was born in Germany.
Oh, wow.
And which is where my attachment to music comes from that. So there's like, I don't have like a fundamental I can definitely pin where my early heavy music memories are, but like in regards to music, I always knew it was going to be a part of my life. And like music, I sang in church with my family growing up. Like my dad ran a private lesson studio out of our house in Florida when we moved to the States.
Wow. Okay.
So it was definitely all around me all the time. And I was always in band in high school. And like, it's just like, I've done classical music. I played in orchestras as well. I did a little bit of professional orchestra work, but not enough to claim that I was a professional French hornist, but enough that I have done some traveling playing French horn. So there's this like, yes, I really like obituary and death metal, but I also play French horn and can talk to you about Mahler symphonies and which one's my favorite.
That's amazing.
Like, those are two things I don't think exist in a lot of people, you know, together.
Yeah, I'm jealous of like there's been a lot of people that have been on here that like they grew up with their, you know, parents playing music or just, you know, kind of in their blood from when they were a kid. I got into music late, not until I was like 13 or 14. It was just kind of lost up to that point. Like I didn't like playing sports. My mom's like, try this, try baseball, try karate, you know, like, and then I did try high school band. I played the trumpet for like 2 weeks. And I was like, this is dumb. I don't like this. And I quit. And then the teacher gave a speech about quitting the day after I left. Totally roasted me in front of the class. And then they told me at lunch and I was all embarrassed. I think I thought about like learning to play like the snare drum in marching band too. And I never did that. And then I told this on here before, but our drummer, Nick, he was my childhood friend. And it was always into music. And he came over to my mom's place, and she lived in like a duplex where we lived. And the neighbor was this cool old guy, Jay. And he would sit on his porch with like his little dog and his acoustic guitar and just play. Like, awesome dude. We'd always be, you know, bothering him and playing in the backyard. He never gave a shit. And then one time Nick goes up to him and he's like, hey, can I play that guitar? And he's like, sure. So he's left-handed. So he flips it upside down and he plays Nirvana. And right there, that's what clicked for me. I was like, I want to do that. Like that was just that moment. So that's how I started. But yeah, that wasn't until I was like 13 or 14. Run home and go, Mom, I need you to get me a guitar.
That's the I want to do that moment. Yeah. That mine for me was around the same age. So it's like the summer after 8th grade. So I think I'm like 14 maybe, 14 or 15. And on Q101 in Chicago, there's an advertisement for this like traveling concert that's going to happen, and like they keep advertising it's Warped Tour. It's the first Warped Tour. And I'm like, I'm going. And so I tell my dad, hey, me and all my friends, we're going to this fest. And I told all my friends we're going to this fest. And then like weeks come up and I'm like, all right, you guys got tickets? I'm like, no, my parents aren't letting me go to this fest. I'm like, all right, Dad, me and all my friends were going to this fest. And like continued the story of me and all my friends are going to this fest, but I went by myself because nobody else was allowed to go. And my dad drops me off there, And he's like, all right, I'll pick you up right here at 8 o'clock because it's like, whatever, 94, 95, something like that. I'm not doing the math. I'm too old for that shit. But it is like, pagers aren't even a thing at this point, right? Like, I think maybe I called him on a payphone to come pick me up, potentially. But I can't remember exactly those details. But it was No Use for a Name, Sublime was supposed to play, L7, Viso, this German punk band, and then Orange 9mm, and Civ were playing. So like I see all these bands play and I'm like, this is amazing. And it's like this, like it's hardcore adjacent. Like Civ is the guy from Gorilla Biscuits, Orange 9mm is the guy from Burn and Chaka. And so they're like all these. Sublime doesn't play because the dude's dog bit someone on the tour. I guess they got kicked off. But I had the shirt that had said Sublime on it for a long time. But I'm like, this is awesome. And I've been to some concerts and shows at this point. But at the moment that I'm like, I want to do that is when I'm after the show. They have broken down. It's only 2 stages. They've broken down the trailers. Everything's been packed up. The fencing's been torn down. All that's left is the tour buses, and like everyone is gone. And so everyone in Warped Tour is just hanging out around the tour buses in a circle or whatever. And then I'm on the edge of the Rosemont Horizon parking lot reading Thrasher, one of the million magazines you get from Warped Tour. And Chaka from Orange 9mm Chaka from Burn, Orange 9mm, same band, same dude, skates past me and then like stops. And he's like, hey, what are you doing here? Like just because I'm a kid, right? And I'm like in the dark, like away from people. And he's like, are you waiting for a ride? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, can you like go sit over there so like we can see you and that you'll be safe? Like you're in the dark over here. It's not okay. Yeah. And then like, and he's like, you can't come over there by the tour buses and stuff. Just stay here. But like, we just want to make sure you're going to be all right. And I'm like,
that's nice.
Okay, yeah, super nice. But that was the moment I was like, that was a dude that was just on stage in front of all these people that I was idealizing, and he was on this shirt I just bought with all the bands listed on it. And he was just really kind to me and spoke to me like I'm a normal person. And so we were talking earlier that like when you play with a band and you're doing the same thing, that was this moment of like, I want to do that. I want to be that guy. Like I want to be the singer in a band and like skate around and be on tour buses, you know,
and
human
like, connection with them.
Right. And so that was, I think, there's a couple other ones of like, I really like the band MXPX, and I went to go see them in this band called 6 Feet Deep that's from Ohio, Christian hardcore band. They played, and that was my first time seeing a hardcore band. So that was like, there's all these like hardcore adjacent memories that just kept bringing me around to, I definitely didn't grow up as a metalhead. Like I started listening to industrial and then punk and then got into hardcore. And I really only started listening to metal because I joined Dead to Fall. Like the dudes, they were really into In Flames and At the Gates. And I was like, all right, cool. I like this. Let's listen to this. I guess I'm going to be a band that sounds like this. I should listen to it. And Soilwork was another one we were really into at that point. Killswitch was just popping off, and on their first record, I remember listening to that religiously with those dudes as well. So there's like a I definitely give a lot of credit to hardcore for getting me into heavy music, because I do think it has that like that real element. There's like politics behind it. There's like people like speaking up for veganism or straight edge or whatever. There was like preaching involved, you know, and like it kind of was attractive to me that like these people stood for something. There was like, it's not just playing in a band. There's another layer to it.
Yeah, I think I had no idea like that middle kind of level existed either. It was like I'm thinking of like arena bands or like nobodies who play, you know, just down the street. And then like once I started going to shows like that, I had the same feeling. Oh, this is attainable. I could do this, and these people seem cool, and it looks like a fun life traveling around in the tour bus and all that. So like I think the first concert I went to that was like a similar experience was with Nick again and our like childhood friend Brady, and we went to Tattoo the Earth, 1999, I think, or 2000, when
Kitty,
Slipknot
right?
headlined. You say Kitty?
Was Kitty on that?
Probably. Everybody was like Head PE, Kitty, like Slayer, Slipknot. Taproot, I think, you know, like all the new metal bands, and that's what we were into then. It was like Korn, and Slipknot, and all that. So Slipknot just had dropped their self-titled, and they were headlining over Slayer, like brand new band, like just unbelievable. So we were hanging out late past the close, and I'm probably waiting for a ride too. But I remember we're just kind of walking around where the fences were and the buses, and we see Joey Jordison and he's hanging out. I think he had his like mask on his head, and we were like, oh shit, we got to go talk to him. And we're 14, 15. So we run up there. They were writing Iowa at the time. And he's telling us like, oh, there's going to be blast beats and it's going to be way crazier on the next record. And we're like, what's a blast beat? Like, this is the coolest thing ever. So like, that was our first experience, like getting to talk to him, saying he's a real dude with his mask off. They don't show anyone that, yet at that time. And so that was a big moment for me. Like, I got to do this. We got to do it. And like Nick and I made a pact, like we're going to be on the road one day, not in our hometown playing shows. And, we achieved that. So that shit sticks with you.
And I think having like somebody else, like a friend that you make, like Dan and I, the original drummer of Dead to Fall, we had a similar pact, right? Like we were just like, we're going to do this thing, man. Like, let's do it. I remember calling him and being like, we should take the band like seriously. We should stop doing like weekends and we should just go full time. Like we should get signed. We should do this. And he sold his Jeep that day and bought the minibus that we toured in, the Ditka, the bus of death. There's like this little short bus that we rolled around in to start with. But those like the having somebody else to do it with, I think there's a lot of bedroom bands that are all centered around one guy, but I think there's something natural and organic about this. Just like, all right, we're like brothers and we're going into this. It's not war necessarily, but it has some similarities, right? Like we're going after this. Yeah.
To like say, fuck everything else, like putting off the rest of life. Like we want this more than anything. And when he was on here and he said that, I brought it up the other day, but he's like, also like the recipe for a band that can achieve even what we've done, like, and having 5 guys or however many all be in the same place mentally at the same time, want the same things, who, are good enough at their instrument, put in the work, show up to practice, aren't pieces of shit. Like there's so many factors at play to make what we did work, and how lucky we are to be like to have done that. And I was in 2 bands that did that. So it's just like astronomically like crazy.
And it does take like that level of commitment, I think, and having like the Dead to Fall had so many members, because there'd be like a period of time where 5 people were on board, but then like one person, like they're going to have a kid, or they want to go back to school, or like this, like that life, like we're the grind of not making any money. Yeah. That's rare to come across, I think. And like, I was always jealous of the bands that were like the same 5 people the whole time, and like they were like brothers or whatever, and just could like just do it and make it work. Cause it just seemed like I could never land on just like yes, this is the lineup. Right. I was the only one that was on all 4 records.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right.
So, and not even being an original member myself, I think there's been 17 people in Dead to Fall, if not counting fill-ins.
And this most recent stuff you've done, is that mostly the original lineup?
It's like a hybrid now of the records, because we have Tim, who was on Phoenix Throne and Are You Serious? And then everybody else is from the first record. Justin, me, and Anton were on Villainy and Virtue. So It's like somebody has been on all 4 records, but it's kind of mixed in between. So it's the same group that's been doing it since 2016, but in around just after COVID, Dan left and Tim took his spot on drums.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So going back to that time, once you realized, like, I want to do this, and you were how old at Warped Tour?
14.
14. So what 14, was like? Yep. When was the first time you like attempted to scream, and how was that?
Hang on. What was the band called? Doc Magi, I think, was the name of the band that me and Pam Robeson and this dude named Robot had, and it was like a cover band, and we covered a Deftones song, I believe, was like the first time I tried screaming in a mic, not just in my room. I think my first like time screaming in my room though is 9 Inch Nails, the Broken EP on that song Wish, when he yells fist fuck really loud, like, and it's got some gravel to it. And that's a fucking heavy punk song. Like that is a punk song. I love that track. That's probably my go-to classic song of my childhood. That's my favorite band of all time, 9 Inch Nails. It's like,
okay, awesome.
Yeah, my first concert, 7th grade, like that's still, Trent Reznor is one of my favorite composers. Like I love 9 Inch Nails. They're a great band.
Yeah, they're amazing. I love them, but I honestly never listened to them enough. Like I was never super into it, but every time I heard it, I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Like, why don't I listen to this more?
And there's some depth to that catalog. Yeah, the Ghosts record, the instrumental songs he put out. There's 5 of them or 6 of them now, and they're really, really phenomenal. But yeah, that was like when I first started getting into heavy music. And then we had another band that I can't remember the name of that played at one show as well. And we did that Limp Bizkit Korn cover of
All in the Family?
All in the Family, and we tried to do that, but we couldn't get the like record sound, so we had my friend Michael played it on a recorder because that's the only sound we could get to make this like wee. We're like, all right, we got it. I don't know, recorder. What instrument do we have that makes that sound? And so we actually, I was in a band that had a recorder player, so like I think that's another claim I have. And then my freshman year of high school, I'm sitting in health class, and I had I believe an indecision patch on my backpack because I'd started going. I'd clean straight edge at this point, started going to hardcore shows. I had made a couple friends that were into hardcore at this point. And a guy had just joined our school that was coming from another school. And he was like, oh, do you like hardcore? I was like, yeah. And so we started talking. That's actually the dude who helped me get this job. Yeah, nice. So he's like really, really a longtime friend. But then Brian was his friend from the Catholic high school they'd gone to together before. And he was like, hey, my friend Brian's trying to start a band. Do you sing? I was like, I sure do. And then I started this band called Stalemate with Brian. And then we did like a demo tape, and I think we did like another 3-song thing that was like a little bit more melodic. And then Dead to Fall had started, and then both their singers had quit. And then I had been in a band called Die with one of the dudes, but I didn't like the other singer in that band, so I quit. You know, like everybody's in a band for like a week, and then like the band doesn't actually work out. Yeah. It was one of those instances. And so they didn't want me in the band because they thought I was a flake because I had flaked on that other band. And so then I joined Dead to Fall. And Dead to Fall was based on a band called Disillusion. And when Brian joined Disillusion, they changed the name to Dead to Fall. I believe Andy came up with it, was the singer, and he never told anybody what the band name actually meant.
Yeah, I was going to ask where that came from.
No one has any idea. You can't even use those 3 words in sequence in an English sentence. Like they don't make sense together.
Oh, that's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's like what are the 2 most overused metal band name words? Dead and Fall. Let's put it in the same band. Right. You know, I think we played a show once with Deadfall, which is another band that has like the same name, which was great. But that was 1999 or the winter of 99, and our first show that I played with them, we were practicing and we were like, hey, down the street there's an open mic night at this coffee shop. Let's go bring our half stacks down there. And so we brought like a full racked drum set and half stacks into the coffee shop owned by the dudes in the band Chevelle at the time. That was in our in the same suburbs of Chicago that we were in, and we played. And there's a video of this, which is technically my first show, and every single person in the coffee shop leaves when we start playing, besides our drummer's girlfriend.
Perfect.
That's
I got to find that video.
Yeah. I may have posted it on our YouTube. If not, I'm going to. I definitely have it. I'll post it up and send it to you. But it's terrible. And like I'm singing, memory exists at that point, but like the words aren't there. So like I'm just making up words. Like the song isn't even written yet, and I'm playing it at this club.
Wow, that's a great story.
So that was
the dudes in Chevelle too.
Right. And I think the 5150 we started touring on, Brian bought from Chevelle, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah, you know, like there's all those little those dudes became enormous, but we wouldn't have guessed that at that point, you know?
Yeah. So that was 99. Yeah. And you guys got signed by what, like 2002 with Victory?
2002, the record came out. 2001, we did a demo in 99. We did a demo in 2000. We did a demo with Mike Hasty from Walls of Jericho. We drove out to Detroit and recorded in their practice studio, the 2001 demo.
Sick.
And then that got in Victory's hands, being Chicago. And then we had to do one of those like super awkward showcases where
I've heard about those, yeah.
Yeah, you just go in and like it's like a practice space with a stage and lights, and there's like I don't know 10 people from the label sitting in folding chairs, and they're just like, "Okay, play your songs for us." And we have to act like we're playing a regular show, and it was so awkward and so weird. And then we left the room for them to talk about us.
That is so weird. It's like an audition, yeah.
It really was exactly like an audition. But I always felt like we were like, Tony never really liked us all that much. Like he's one of those guys when it's his idea, the band gets like all the money and all the press and everything. But if like somebody else at the label found the band, he's less likely to be interested in it. unless he sees money in it. So we were always kind of like back burner, I think, for Victory. Like we were never like, we didn't get the Atreyu budget, we didn't get the Hawthorne Heights budget, we didn't get the Taking Back Sunday budget. Like clearly now we're not those bands, we don't have singing parts, but like we definitely didn't get. I think we suffered more being on Victory than we achieved. There was like. Furnace Fest would never probably admit it, but I felt like we were blacklisted. All those like Victory bands just weren't on Furnace Fest. You'd notice the first couple years, there's like hardly any Victory bands on it. And then, and maybe that's just me reading into it, but I would be like, they never even ask us. Why can't we be a part of the cool club? Right. But then, like, there certain tours, they'd be like, we don't want to put a Victory band on it because blah, blah, blah band has an issue with Tony, and like, it came about quite often that Tony had fucked something up for us, and we didn't even know he'd fucked up.
Right. That's a tough decision, though, to like, because back then you really needed a label more than today. And so to get an offer, it's kind of like, we got to say yes, it's Victory, right?
It's Victory, right? It's the label, yeah. And would we have even been a band if we hadn't done that deal? Like, would we have eventually gotten onto Trustkill or Ferret or Metal Blade or one of the other labels? Like, I don't know. We probably would have just broken up, right? Like, we don't have any backing or anything. So, at the same time, Victory did do a lot for us, so I don't want to like only say negative. The staff at Victory was some of the hardest working people I've ever met. The people that were like putting in the daily work to make the things happen, it was really, really outstanding people, and I'm still friends with a lot of them.
That's awesome. Did you guys have a booking agent at that time, or did they help you get one? Or
we bopped around a couple different ones. The person who booked us the longest was Dan, who did Thunderdome booking, and he's out in LA now. And he was at TKO for a minute. Maybe I don't know where he is now. He's at a different agency, Rosenblum or Rosenbaum. One of the two. Okay. One of them is my 7th grade science teacher, and then one of them is him. And I always got their last names mixed up. One's Rosenbaum and one's Rosenblum. I don't know which one's which. But he booked us for a long time, and a lot of the touring we did stuff that I don't think a lot of bands did, which helped us in the long term, was headlining by ourselves. And like just playing secondary markets, meeting local bands, playing with like 4 local bands, and then meeting the like 60 people in Fargo that came to your show. But then the next time you play, it's 75 people. The next time you play, it's 100 people.
That's so important when you're grinding in the beginning.
Yeah, and ignoring some of the big markets. Like, yeah, we'll play New York. Yeah, we'll play Chicago because that's home. We'll play LA, but that's not like, it's so saturated. It's not worth anything to play. So I think getting out and playing small shows where it was more about making connections and people that they were just valued you coming to their town, which is where I feel like us coming back 25 years later, there's people who remember us as like, there's something behind it more than just the record I listened to. There was a personal connection. I met this band, or like something else that brought them to it. Yeah, because good chance
they actually talked to you and hung out with you or saw you in the parking lot and you stand there and talk for 10 minutes. So that like they'll remember that forever if they're a fan of the band,
Yeah, exactly. And then now they're coming out to shows like we sell out every time we play Chicago, and that's insane to me. Like we've put out 3 songs since 2008. Like that's there should be no reason for people to come see us, but it's mostly nostalgia. It's most people in their 30s that are. It shows
the impact you guys had back then.
Yeah.
From doing all that and grinding.
Yeah, and it's not lost on me that I think there are a lot of bands that were from that era that can't pull that off now.
Right. For sure.
You guys were grindaholics on the touring circuit too, though. I think you guys played more shows than we did most years.
Probably they were at it before I joined, and then when I joined, it was just full speed ahead. Like I learned the songs as quick as I could, and I think we're on our first tour with like Through the Eyes of the Dead, Acacia Strain, and then we never did a full tour with you guys after I joined.
I don't think so. I think we did. I know I toured with Sean, and I know I toured with Will once or twice. Yeah. But I think after 2006, I'm not remembering that we did a tour together, just festivals probably.
Yeah, I was trying to rack my brain. I was like, I think I met you guys at Robot Moshfest, and then I know we played Chicago with you once.
We did a mini tour together with Black Dahlia Murder. It was like 5 dates.
Okay, that was before me then.
It was? Okay.
Yeah, that was probably with Will. But I remember there was a tour we were on. I think you guys, maybe it was 2 or 3 shows, but I remember playing Chicago with you guys and hanging out. Chad was in the band at the time,
Yep.
your bass player, and who I met out in LA too. I didn't realize he was out there. So like he's going to come on eventually too.
Oh, but yeah. That guy's got some good stories, man.
For sure. Yeah. And then we did run into you guys in Europe at a festival, and I don't remember where it was.
There were all these tours like that Avocado was booking or Mad Booking were booking, and like the tours would just like it'd be like a 4-band package and another 4-band package, and then you'd meet and it'd be a festival, and that was the festival lineup, right?
I want to say it was in UK somewhere, but yeah, that was fun. We toured Mad. I think Mad booked both the times we went over there. We only did it twice, but yeah, I'd love to go into Europe. That was my first and only time. I haven't been back yet. But Germany was great. Always had a blast there.
Dude.
We went to Paris, but the show got canceled, so I was so bummed. We just went basically drove right through it. And I was like, damn it.
Oh, that sucks. We played Paris once with Darkest Hour, and like got out of the van, and I said, "Are we loading in, or what are we doing?" Everyone's just standing around. They're like, "We're waiting for the venue to get here." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? We're waiting for the venue to get here?" And we played on a boat. Like they just rented like an hourly party barge, and like we just loaded all our gear on. Everybody who was going to the show got on the boat, and the boat like left, and we just played on this boat. It was
crazy.
Like, it was awesome. I will say for tours, Germany is like the metal place, right? Like every tour hits Germany. But I've been living now in Spain for almost 3 years, and so many tours skip Spain because Spain is like the Florida of Europe. So like you have to go across the Pyrenees Mountains, get into Spain, and then you drive around in Spain, and then you have to come back out. The same reason Florida gets skipped on a lot of routing is like you have to go in and you have to get out. So like you're driving past the place you just were in order to play it. But the shows here are insane. Like people go off. Like every show I've been to is just high energy and people having a blast because I think that so many tours skip it. People just like really enjoy it.
Right. What kind of metal scene is there?
I mean, Euro metal's huge. You know, like bands you can't pronounce that have like hurdy-gurdies in them and like, you know, like have, you know, just like violin players and then like a troll on stage and like that kind of shit. Yeah, like, you know, I'm just mashing together all the bands I can think of. But that stuff is pretty big. I have not tapped into like, granted, I'm a school teacher, right? So like I go to bed at 9:00, so I don't really go out to shows all that often. I found a really cool club I like called the Wurlitzer. That's a small club. I saw Stephen Brodsky's side project band there, the dude from Cave-In, and I'm drawing a blank as the name of the band, but that was really, it was the band he sings about comic books. That venue was really cool, but it's been like bigger shows I'll end up going out to. Like I went and saw Meshuggah, and that shit was fucking crazy out here.
I bet.
Which my
I've
first
never
time
seen them live.
That's my first time seeing them, and I was like,
really?
I honestly had to close my eyes because I was going into like sensory overload with how many lights and stuff they had, and like that doesn't happen that often. It was awesome.
Yeah, I saw a clip on social media. It showed the show, and it says Meshuggah lighting guy, like, how many lights do you want on stage? And the answer was yes.
All of them.
Yeah.
My coworker's in a great band called Deriva. That's like a post kind of metal band. It's all instrumental, but super, super just like catchy riffs. And so I go see them and go see bands that play with them. There's a whole slew of bands out here that don't have singers. So that maybe that's a thing in Madrid, but it is just like it's also weird being 43 and going to shows looking for a community, right? Like there's like, I don't quite, in a language that's not my language. So maybe I'm not as starved for community as I might be to seek it out, but I do have like a couple metalhead friends. We have like our metalhead chat, people that I've met that like metal, and show suggestions. I guess I can tell this story. My favorite show friend right now though is, do you know the band Harvest from Minneapolis, the old hardcore band from the 90s?
I don't know. It sounds kind of familiar.
They were like a band I loved. And I saw their last show, 97, 98, drove to Minneapolis, saw it. And I'm teaching music at this school. I've had conversations with this dad like 3 or 4 times. He seems like a good guy. It's into music. He talks about his studio or whatever else. Turns out he's the bass player of this like hardcore band I was into when I was 16 years old.
Oh, no
and
shit.
John McCabe's his name. And he's like from Minneapolis. And it's because the drummer of Harvest knows Tim, and they were talking, and they're like, wait, he's in Madrid? I wonder if they know each other. But like, we did know each other. We just didn't know that we knew each other outside of how we knew each other. So
what are the odds?
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, that one blows my mind. I have another coworker that we were at the same Converge show in Chicago in 2004, which just, I don't know how it even came up at lunch one day, but we were like, blew our minds that we were in the same place. You know,
Holy
like,
shit, that's crazy.
Life goes in those circles, you know?
It really does. Have you ever considered doing a project out there with anybody?
I mean, I have this like solo project I want to do, but I'm like a serial song starter. And like, I always get to this place. I'm like, all right, yeah, we'll finish that later. And then later never comes. And that's just like all of the stuff I've wanted to write by myself has gone that way. John and I are in the talks right now of doing a hardcore band out here, but not treating it like we're trying to do something long-term, but just like a 4-song EP and then like play a show. And like, let's see what happens from there and have fun with it. And be like old dudes playing music that we liked when we were younger, basically. Who knows if anybody will dig it or not. But I feel like between Harvest and Dead to Fall, there's enough like that at least a few people might come to the show and see what happens.
And just to have a creative outlet. What style of music is your solo stuff?
So I have like that's where I'm struggling with it is I'm seeing it as this like story arc that follows this like it's either going to start super doomy and dark and turn poppy or it's going to start poppy and get darker. And the project would be so like I wrote a song about like it's just about laying in bed on a Sunday and being stoked I don't have kids because like it's like I don't want to wake up. It's cold outside and it kind of sucks and it's just like fucking like Adam Ant, like Adam and his package. Like that's like the band I'm trying to mock or model myself after. So I like track that, but then like a couple weeks later, it's just like a 60 beats per minute sludge song. So I want to like bring all those pieces because that's the other thing. I'm like, none of this feels like a project. It all feels like different stuff. But I'm like, what if I just made it a project that was different stuff?
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
You know, that's where I'm at musically. So I think I'm trying to embrace it. But it is also like I do so many things and I have so many hobbies that like sitting in my room and writing music by myself is not something I'm always just excited to do.
Yeah, that's tough. I do a lot of the writing at home for the band now, and like some days just after work and everything else you want to do, and now I'm doing this, and this takes up a huge chunk of my week. It's just like the last thing I feel like doing is sitting down. It's like, okay, it's 9:00 at night now. I finally have time, and there's no inspiration. Just gonna force, you're gonna force out at that time. You have to wait till it happens, and it usually comes at the most inopportune time, of course.
How did you guys do when you guys got together for like when you started writing or being in the same room? Did it feel like riffs came, or were you more focused on just relearning the old stuff at that point?
Well, I was in Texas when the band got back together, so I was playing alone, relearning the old songs, and Rob and I were texting videos back and forth, like, "Hey, I think I figured out this part from this song," and so we put together a set list of like, what do we think we can play off each record. Started relearning stuff, and we'd send each other videos, and then meanwhile, Rob and Joe and Nick would get together here and start playing in the same room. Mm-hmm. So I would fly in like once or twice a year, or up to like our reunion show, which was in November of 2023. And then I moved here the next year because my dad was getting old, and I wanted to be near the band. And my girlfriend was like, she's like, "You really need this. Like, you've been a shell of yourself." This was right after that like span from 18 to 22 where I was super depressed and I had nothing going on creatively. She's like, "This will be good for you. We don't have kids. We can do it. We can visit back and forth." So she's still in Texas. We fly back and forth and visit. And I came up here for that. And my dad, who is 80 and living alone, and then he ended up passing away 30 days after I got here out of nowhere.
Oh my God.
That was fucking crazy. So last year was just insane.
I'm sorry, man.
Thank you. But then, so I'm 5 minutes from practice. We practice in the same place we did back in the day in Nick's mom's basement studio that his dad built at like soundproof walls. So like the nostalgia, just walking in there with all, 5 of us, or 5 when Sean can come up, he's 3 hours away. But yeah, so it just kind of fell back into place, and, Nick's always been just amazing at drums. So like all he had to do was get his stamina back up, and it came back so fast. And then all of a sudden it felt like, man, we're tight as shit. Who would have thought? Because I think a lot of it at first was everybody get in the room and like, is this even worth going on stage? Can we even do this? Because with the intensity of the shows used to have, we don't want to go up there and be a mockery of our old selves. And so
you guys were scary. Like there was a large chance you were going to get hit by a guitar when you saw Fastwood. Like it's like, it was dangerous to watch you guys. And like, I wasn't. Sometimes I'm like, is anybody even playing the song anymore? Like, you know, like it's watching. But it's just punk as fuck too at the same time.
Yeah, that was Derek before me. He played his guitar probably half the time.
Yeah, he did not play the riffs that he wrote very often. Yes.
No. Yeah, I go less crazy than him, but I try to keep it balanced. I'm a nerd, so I'm always like, I like to play correctly and sound good. But there's a balance between that you should find, because I do appreciate the punk rock aspect of it. Even in recording, like, I don't like everything to be perfect. And I think we did that on our last record Conversations. It was too clean and gridded. Everything was perfect. And this time around, we're like, let's keep it more human. Let's keep it dirty and, not sit there and record the riff 100 times till it's pristine.
I think because we can do that now with our home studios, I think people are starting to latch on to that. Like, what made it good was that it was bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, that there are mistakes that exist within it, or like there's some nuance, or like the drums aren't all at 100 beats per minute. Maybe it gets down to 98. I mean, Nick is pretty solid drummer. He's going to stay in that pocket.
Yeah,
for most of the time. But I mean, like, it's going to slow down. It's going to breathe. It's going to feel natural, you know? Like,
yeah, when you have that like flow and you get pulled a little bit this way before that big heavy fast part comes in, like it makes things hit harder too when it's not perfect, and you just let things be human. I think it's a big part of the nostalgia from our era and the MySpace era is a lot of the recordings were pretty shitty, but it was human and raw. And like now everything is perfect. Everything sounds so good. They got 8 guitars tracked on both sides, and it's so fucking heavy. And it's like, but you hear so much of that, it loses its meaning. And it's like, what is even heavy anymore?
Right. What is heavy anymore? All right. So, old man rant. How do you feel about bands that don't have amps on stage?
No, that's travesty.
Right. So like, touring musician me is like, man, it'd be pretty cool if the guitars sounded the same every single night, and like you didn't have any amps blow up and like all those things that always go wrong. Like, I see why people do it, especially when you're touring for a living. But like, there's a part of me that's just like, this doesn't sound right. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I have a quad Cortex. I did buy one, but we still use cabs, and like I'll never just go DI into the PA and like that's it. You know, like but we did that for ease of like, because we thought, we're going to be touring or not touring, doing Weekend Warrior stuff. We're going to go out to California or down to Furnace Fest. We're going to fly. I don't want to use what random amp they have there. But and also my effects, like, it solved so many effects pedal problems because we have a lot more effects on the new stuff. And instead of tap dancing to turn on 3 pedals at once, I can hit one button and it's all just right there. And it sounds amazing. But yeah, like, I want at least a half stack behind me. We used to play with full stacks everywhere we went. Yeah.
In a basement.
I don't like it. Yeah. Yeah, it should be loud, and you should have an amp behind you, or at least a cab.
And I think your guys' songs, there's so many spots that rely on feedback. Like, to not have a cab would be like, what are you trying to get the feedback from? The monitor? Like, it's not going to, I don't think your guitar is going to react the way it would to having an amp behind you, you know?
Yeah, I was wondering that too when I got this thing. I was like, will it still feed back like usual? Like, and it does. I just turn off the noise suppressor and it works just like, my normal head and pedal board.
Gotcha. I mean, I love tube amps. I love things that are so loud, like ungodly loud. Like, I just think it's awesome. But I do understand why we don't want to use them in a touring. Like, they're so fickle, and like you just constantly need maintenance. And like, especially
those two behind me, they're the same amp. It's the first one is the one I've had since I was 16 on the top or bottom, whichever one. And then I bought an extra one when we like restarted the band, because like that amp is coveted, it's discontinued, old PV Ultra Plus. And I found one at Guitar Center and for $800, and someone had like cleaned it up and souped it up. It sounds better than my old one. And those amps are my favorite sounding thing in the world. It'll never sound the quad will never sound as good as that, but it's like, for the small difference in tone that you get and feel, it's worth all the other problems that it fixes for traveling and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, all day, if I could, it would be that and, 8 cabs behind me.
Right. It's still got to be loud, but it is like, it's just strange to when it's like there's the scrims, like, especially when you go see your friend's band and they're like, now they continued the touring path that we quit on. And so they're big time and they like don't have any amps, and it's just like a scrim and a drum set, and you're standing side stage and you can't hear anything because everybody's got in-ears, which, I mean, I would love to be an in-ear dude. You brought up the hair whip. Either. The hair whip, I don't know if I can do with in-ears. I don't know how I could pull it off, if I could tape them in well enough. But being a singer in the era that we toured in, and how many shows I played not being able to hear myself at all, and how much damage that causes to my voice.
Did you wear
really
earplugs?
Struggles. No.
Never? Yeah, I don't think Sean or Will ever did either.
No, I did not, and I definitely have 30% hearing loss in one of my ears because of that. You know,
fuck. Yeah, I always wore them. Someone scared me when I was young, like, and it stuck with me, like dare, you know? Like, it's just like, you better wear your earplugs. If you like listening to music, you're not going to be able to hear it when you're old. And I was like, okay. So I always wore them. Yeah.
Oh, that's, I don't know what it was about singing, because maybe it also blocks that, like, the way your bones are like vibrating and like it feels different.
Yeah, because it's coming here. You're hearing yourself. You know, you're blocking that. That's weird. I can imagine. Like I've never known a singer back then that enjoyed wearing earplugs.
No, I should have though. I definitely should have. For how loud we were, like it's pretty wild that I only have as much hearing loss as I have. You know? And
now they do make the kind that let more sound through, but they still protect you, right? That we didn't have that back then. It was just like the foam horse shit.
I got a set. They're called Eargasm. They got me with the marketing with the name. I was like, those are great. I've had them now for 2 years, and they're phenomenal. So if you want Eargasm, you want to send me another set, like, you know, I'm plugging you right now. Just letting you know.
I actually bought those, and they have the different sizes. None of them fit me, but I did love them. They were great. But
so wait, do you have little ears or do you have big ears?
I don't remember which it was, honestly. I just remember one was too loose, and then the size that should have worked was so tight that when I was trying to pull it out, it was like going to rupture my eardrum, and there was nothing in between. I was like, "Fuck!" But they were great.
They are tricky to get out because they don't have the like pin in the middle. They have just like a little flap on the side that you have to like kind of get your finger under. But I think it keeps them in longer.
Maybe I was just doing it wrong and not realizing I had to do the flap thing.
Yeah, who knows, man? Maybe it's user error, or maybe you just have weird ears. I don't know. It could be both.
I could. Back to in-ears. I see bands use them, and I'm like, yeah, that's got to be great to have the whole mix in there. But then I'm also like, we're not on a click track. We don't have backing tracks where you need to pause and hear everything. Like, I don't think it really makes sense for our kind of bands. And maybe it's just us old dudes going, yeah, we don't need that shit. But
dude, I don't know. I went and saw Acacia Strain a couple weeks ago here. Was talking to Vince about the same thing, and like, you know, just forever we didn't have in-ears, but she's just like, dude, I just hear myself every night. And then I was standing next to him before the set started, and they all have their in-ears in, and they all just like, all of a sudden everybody looks up, they're like 30 seconds, and like the countdown of like until the sample was going to start had started in their ears, and I'm like, that is pretty cool. And then he gave me the mic, and I'm singing along, and I'm thinking I'm on the wrong part of this song. I'm not sure where I'm at because I can't hear anything in the monitors, right? And I'm like, I'm fucking this song up left and right. And then I realize Vince is just hearing me in his in-ears fucking up his song right now.
That's fantastic.
But
their show is sick though. Like start to finish, they seem to have like with the samples and everything in between. So like that makes sense for them for sure.
Yeah, and Devin is one of the sweetest dudes on the planet. I love that guy. We just talked for like hours afterwards. But they're one of the only bands that I can think of that is still putting out better music with each release.
Oh yeah, like, they keep getting better and better.
They keep getting better. Like Converge is a band that is like always reformulating and getting better. And I think they're a band that never like gave up on who they were musically, and Acacia Strain has done the same thing. That Decay series they put out where they just did the like mini EPs and the picture decayed over the I mean, it was genius. It was like, I think it was like during COVID, right? I was just waiting for the next one to come out. I was super jacked on those, but like, I'm really psyched to see them touring and getting great responses and having fun doing it and still putting out phenomenal music. Because most bands are
like
just
bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, and they got some new shit coming out. I'm just fucking stoked. I'm gonna talk them up right now. It better not suck, y'all. Better not suck.
Yeah, Kevin was just on a few episodes ago, and he was talking about the in-ears, and I think it was like recently that they started doing that, like 2022 or something, for the first time, like him playing to a click, and he's like, I fucking love it. Like, I would never go back now. Yeah.
That's it is something I think I want to dabble in, but it is also like a hefty chunk of change to upfront if I'm only going to play 3 shows a year, you know, like,
true. Yeah.
Do I really need them? I could just blow my voice out and like, who cares? You know?
Your solo stuff, you were saying you were writing the music. Do you play guitar on it too and program drums, or like what's all the instruments going on there?
So I am like a synth nerd in some ways. So I'm doing some guitar, but it's mostly like Ableton programming on some MIDI instruments more than anything, and then just the Critter and Guitari organelle is like it's built on it's a programming language, Pure Data. And so it's a processor that's built on a programming language, and like people release patches for it left and right, and you could just make a million different effects out of it, a million sounds out of it, and Sick. It's just this little tiny wood button keyboard that I've probably played with a million hours at this point. Right. And then just, like regular piano chops or whatever. But yeah, I do pick up a guitar. I've got a Strat that I really like, a Mexi Strat that's fun to play. But I struggled to be comfortable playing in front of people beyond like a rhythm guitar part, Right. So yeah, I can hang on enough, but I know so many sick guitar players that like I really have to watch myself if I'm saying I play guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over the years from you guys broke up in 2008, did you do any other projects like this, like any other solo projects or with other people this whole time, or?
I was in a band in Tampa that is the most ungoogleable band name ever. We were called Career.
Yeah.
Yeah,
career band.
Career band, Career Music, Career Florida, Career Tampa. No,
yeah, you
cannot find it. You cannot find it. But this was a band that was like, it kind of was what they call themselves like a Tampa punk, like, they didn't call themselves a supergroup. Somebody else called me this, but they were all like members of fairly popular Tampa bands, and they started Career, and then they were a band for a couple years, and they did this project that was called the Music Box. And the Music Box is a place in New Orleans that has all these structures that can be played as instruments. So like sheds where the doors are attached to piano strings, and it changes pitch when you move the shed.
Oh, that's cool.
So what they do is they go in, they partner with an art organization in a town, and they have local artists. They have one of their artists come out, and then they have local artists build structures, and then they have musical artists come and do performances on these structures. And so Career was asked to do one of the performances at the Tampa art installation, and they're like, we need another musician because there's only 4 of us, and we need a 5th person to play this other instrument. And so they're like, you're a music teacher, like, and they were friends of mine from the neighborhood corner store that one of them owned. That was like where we'd buy our beer or whatever. So I played this gig with them where it was a deck, and each of the floorboards was attached. There was a piano string like this, and each of the floorboards was attached to a dampener that would come down, and it would be like a hammer that would play a pitch, and it was built on a pentatonic scale. So every floorboard you jumped on played a pitch that was built on like that pentatonic scale. So pentatonic, you can fit into anything. And so I just like came up with a couple little hooks that matched the song that they had written, and they wrote a song called Structures that was built. They wrote the song to be played on these structures. So then after that performance, they were like, hey, that was sick. Do you want to be in the band? And I was like, what do I play? And they're like, I don't know, guitar? I was like, okay, we have 3 guitar players. Cool, I could do that. I could be 3rd guitar player. And then after a couple months of doing that, I was like, why do we have 3 guitar players? I want to play synthesizers and like other stuff. And so I played French horn through a whammy pedal with harmonies on it on like our softer songs. And then I played guitar on one song, and then I played a lot of stuff on microKORG.
Sick, dude.
It's a synthesizer. And we did like one tour up the East Coast and did that one record. I think I was in that band for 2 years maybe. Su Lin, who was the guitar player of the band, they are in the band Propaganda now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They auditioned in like, I think it was 2018 or 2019, and have been in the band ever since. So
nice. Did you
which
guys
is crazy.
do like a record that's on streaming or anything?
Yeah. The record Structures is up on YouTube, and I think that gig is somewhere on YouTube too. Nice. I found it before, so I'll send it to you.
French horn through a whammy pedal sounds insane.
Yeah, because it is like you can throw harmony on it and really easily through the whammy. Like you just put the 5th or the 4th, and then just like playing those notes, it makes it sound super full, like you're a couple French horn players. And do you know the Behringer digital mixer, the 18-channel XR18? That's like so. It was like the first of like that only has the inputs on them. and it has 6 outputs. And so I figured out that if I run all my instruments and the mics and everything into the mixer, I can run the outputs into my pedals, and then I can set scenes to change what instrument is running into that pedal between songs. So
that's cool.
Right, like song 1, I set scene 1, so the whammy was through the French horn. But maybe in song 2, I wanted the synthesizer to have the whammy. I could just change the scene, and it would just then send the bus through an external output into the whammy pedal.
Gotcha.
And I would just send a different channel to the whammy pedal through that mixer. And I was like, man, the mixer itself is an instrument, really. So that was a super fun project. And I was glad that I just kind of stumbled upon it and was able to be a part of that. That was fun.
Yeah, that sounds like some really fun, like nerdy shit to dive into. Like when I turned on the quad the first time and saw it had scenes too, and you can like set like certain songs. Like I could just have one that's a whole pedal board just for one song, and I hit the button, it goes to the next one. And like I didn't realize how in depth it was, and it's so simple to use. It's like using an Apple product basically. You just drag, drop, amp, delay pedal, reverb, whatever you want. It's so neat.
Hang on a second. It must be 9:30 because my robot just started.
Oh.
He's under the couch that I'm sitting on. His name is Sergeant Suck. Can you hear him right now?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Where are you, sir?
No worries. I can always cut this out too if you need to.
Sergeant Suck deserves to be on the internet. Don't you?
Sergeant
don't you?
Suck.
Yeah, that's his name.
Mine is named Ungoliant after the spider in the Lord of the Rings. The giant spider.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Are you a Lord of the Rings fan?
Absolutely. I just went on a nerd adventure where we pretended to be elves and we LARPed in a castle for 4 days.
Oh, fuck yeah. Where was the castle?
In Spain. It's like this nerd adventure I go on. It's Nerd Adventures on YouTube. You can look them up. I might need to turn the light on because the sun's going down here. But they just curate this like event where like we're doing like basically Hunger Games style LARPing games in all these quests we make for each other. And I was a half elf, half elk, which I thought was a really funny thing to say when I was stoned one night. And I was like, yeah, half elf, half elk. That's my character.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Sean and I are big Lord of the Rings nerds, and we always send each other the memes from like my Instagram feed is basically like half Lord of the Rings, half pro wrestling, and then a little bit of music. So we'll send each other that shit. And when he joined the band and he was starting to write for Lowest, he was like, I think I want to base this song off of Black Speech. And I was like, please fucking do that. So Lowest is kind of like Lord of the Rings influenced.
Nice.
Yeah.
I knew it's about something, all right? There's like some cultural reference within it when I looked at the lyrics. But especially like what's the first line? Corpses pile high or something about
like
corpses.
That. I haven't read it in a minute.
But it's like this call to action at the beginning of I mean, he's sick. You guys have both the vocalists were fucking sick.
Yeah, very lucky to have both of them.
And honestly, I think both of them I found myself being like I felt like an immediate friendship with Sean, and when he left, I was like, fuck, man, that sucks. And then when Will came in, I was like, yo, this dude is awesome too. You know?
What are the odds you're going to have a good friendship with both?
Yeah,
You're like, the new guy, I'm probably going to be an asshole.
And I'm remembering playing, or maybe we didn't play it and we just went to it, if it was the first Fastway show or if it was one of them, and I don't remember where it was, Pennsylvania or Ohio, and it's just this vague being in this place, and there's this. It was like the name change was what 2003 when it became From a Second Story Window. Before it was another band before that, right?
I think a little bit earlier, maybe 2002. Yeah, it became it was Aphasia before that. They were a new metal band. Yeah,
right. And it was around that name change because there was already some sort of following, right, that was happening. And I had never heard of From a Second Story Window. And we either played the show or we went to the show or somehow we were there. And I remember being like, who the fuck is this band that this is like their first show and there's like 200 people here? Like what is going on? But it was just like lights and like blood was like all I remember of the show. It's just like violence, it was a violent experience. Legion Hall, I have this memory of being there and I can't tell you much more beyond it, but it's like a Legion Hall or a bowling alley or something. And it was one of the first shows, I think, but it might have been a hometown thing.
Yeah, it could have been. There was like a fire hall we played there. There was a place called Freddy Fresh's, which is like, it was like a weird, like half arcade, like all ages place. And then I'm trying to remember.
It might have been the Fireman's Hall. Sounds
Yeah,
like that sounds right.
I just actually found pictures from some old shows there when I was going through like my old band Robinson's photos, and I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen these. We all look like children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at the pictures of even like the end of Dead to Fall, and I was a child. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no gray hair. I'm like a Santa Claus beard now, and it's like it's full on. Like it's just
I like it. I'm jealous.
face.
I'm starting to get some grays in, like up here. It's starting to come, but I've been a late bloomer with everything, so it'll probably happen in another 10 years.
I mean, I started, I think, at like 26, 27. This streak started, and then this has just been like, I mean, I've been pretty much all white-faced for like 5 years at this point. You know, just, I don't know what it's, probably wisdom or trauma, one of the two.
Dude, to keep all your hair and go like gray with an awesome streak like that, it looks good. You're pulling it off.
Go Gandalf, buddy.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Well, I'm going to turn the light on. Give me 1 second.
Oh, sure. There we go. I didn't realize how dark it had got because it was like slowly happening.
Slowly fading. But that's Spain for you. It goes to like the sun is up till 10 o'clock, and it's not even it's going to go like when I first moved here, it was 10:40 when the sun is going down. It's wild.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. And what season is it there for you? Because you're.
It's the end of the wet season. It's starting to be the hot season. So it's the same it's more in the northern hemisphere, so it's still summer, but
gotcha.
We have the same summer you guys do. But our summer is like, it's a desert climate, so it gets up to like 105, 106 in August, and it's gnarly. Yeah.
Is it super humid?
No, dry.
No?
Very dry.
Oh, dry, right. You said desert. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about Texas is it's so fucking hot, but then we get the humidity. It's not as humid as like Houston and Austin, but the first few years I didn't mind it. I was just like sweating my dick off and going to bars with sleeveless shirts, and I was like, this is pretty awesome. I can deal with this. In the last couple of years, I was like, I don't even want to go outside after 11 a.m.
Yeah, dude, I did Florida for 10 years, but luckily Florida gets 98 degrees and then it rains. You know, it's just
True. What was I going to say about Lord of the Rings or something? Oh, no, Lowest. So fun fact about Lowest, it's not on social media platforms for anyone to use as a song on your like posts or stories or anything. And I was trying to figure out why, because we never had that issue before. We used like TuneCore. It always goes to everything, no problem. The other singles had no issues. So I used a sample from Lord of the Rings in the very beginning, that clanking.
Yeah.
That's from Lord of the Rings, and it's like a 2-second little clip of when the elves spin and slam their bows on the ground when Aragorn walks up at Helm's Deep. It's like, shh, boom. And Sean and I were like, let's sneak that in there. I was like, no way in hell that's going to get flagged. I distorted it. I put reverb on it. And then I'm talking to like TuneCore customer service, and they're like, well, it's flagged because there's like a sample in there or something. And it's like, so AI still figured out that that's from like Lord of the Rings or something. So it didn't get blocked on any streaming services, but for some reason you can't use it on social media. So
that's
just
wild.
Fun fact that's how good the whatever scan they do over it is, and they can find shit like that. That one little clink, clank.
That's wild. That like from a movie, nonetheless, not from music.
Yeah, not from a song. Yeah. And it's like no one's talking either, just a noise. That could be any kind of, chain clanking or fucking whatever. That's insane to me.
I've seen a bunch of, I'm a pretty big fan of rap music as well. And there's a bunch of stuff that's been coming out with the AI ability of like sorting through samples of like, we have now figured out where this sample came from and where this sample came from like old records. And it's pretty crazy what it can figure out. It's like, this is the one trumpet note from this recording. Yeah. Like what kind of density of understanding it has of the sound to be able to do that it blows my mind.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out my old band Robinson songs, and it's just like grindy, super fast blasting and like dissonant chords. And I found an AI website that will pull apart the stems to songs. I was like, no way in hell is it going to work for this. And it worked fucking beautifully. Like the vocals had a little issue, but I was able to pull that apart and then slow down the guitar tracks and figure out the chords we were playing so I could do it like covers on YouTube, whatever. But
what website was it?
I have it right over here on my other screen. I forget what it's called.
I used one called la.ai that did this.
That's it.
Did a similar, yep. Yeah. That thing is awesome, man. Like,
dude, it blew my mind.
I use it for my work. Like, if I get a track and I want the students to sing it, but I don't want to have like the singing on it because you shouldn't listen to what you're trying to sing with, right? Because you're listening more than you're singing. So I'll remove the vocals. But like that thing it's really good.
Yeah, I was like, this will probably work with pop music, but definitely not grindcore. That's not on a grid. And I was like, nope, here you go. Here's the drums, clean as fuck. I was like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Yeah. And then what was I going to say about AI too? There was something else.
I mean, it's like we're going full on boomer mode now, man. We're just like, man, the AI is real crazy about these musics, you know?
Yeah. What do you think about people creating music with AI?
Have you seen the thing on Spotify with like
What thing?
it's a playlist of all of songs from bands that don't exist that sound the same.
Oh shit.
And Spotify is like releasing playlists of like background restaurant music and like things that like people use Spotify for, but they're not paying attention to necessarily. And those are generated by Spotify. And it's the same song-ish. And there are all these bands that don't exist. There's no profile. There's like, you can't Google them. It's just, and somebody put together a playlist of all of these songs that they found.
Holy
and so
shit.
like, I'm teaching a songwriting unit to my 5th graders right now. And I have a student that's like, he's just got an attitude like, I'm checked out, man. I'm not doing this. This project sucks. Like, I'm like, dude, you could literally write about anything you want to write about. Like, you just write a song. He goes, fine. And he just like writes like 2 lines and he's like, am I done now? I'm like, it's 7 seconds long. It needs to be like 2 minutes. You could sing the same 2 lines 30 times. And then I'm like, do I just let this kid make a song on AI and make the lyrics? And then like his task is to figure out how to make it performable. Like AI will write the lyrics and then he can just make it fun from that AI. Or am I letting the kid off the hook to not use his brain, right? Like, what is the better thing a teacher should do? Like to help this kid with a tool that might help him with where he's stuck. But he's stuck because his attitude stinks. He's not stuck.
Yeah, if he won't do anything, it might be a good bridge to get him going, and then he might spark an interest in his head. You know, like, ooh, this is actually kind of fun.
Yeah, and then go on GarageBand and just figure out how to make it sound cool. Like that's my only requirement with this project is like it needs to be 2 minutes long and it has to sound good. And like, no, you can't sing about soccer. Like that's all anybody here they want to sing about Real Madrid. That's all they care about. It's amazing.
Right. Do they get mad if you call it soccer?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I act like I don't know what it is. I'll be like, what? Right? Real? It's called Real Madrid. I don't know what Real Madrid is, and like they just like get super upset with me. Like I don't know what I'm talking about. It's great.
I remember when we were on tour in the UK and we went to a club after the show that this guy wanted us to take us to, and we went in and it was like everything was glass. The floor was glass. It was like we don't belong in here at all. And when we were waiting in line, the guy turned around and asked me something about soccer, and I was like, I have no fucking idea. And he was talking, what's the big team in like London or UK?
Liverpool? I don't know. There's a million.
But he said the name and I was like, I have no idea. And then he got so fucking offended. I thought he was going to punch me in the face. Like almost like this is out. You guys can't come in the club. And I was like, holy shit, you guys, this is like a religion over here.
Oh yeah. It's like, it's wild. I think the UK and Spain, it's probably the highest for the love of soccer.
For sure.
Yeah. But the clubs, this was my weird Euro story, was like we had a show we played with Darkest Hour and Cephalic Carnage that there was no more than 60 people at the show. And then it was metal night after the show where the club was like going to play metal music and people were going to dance. And there's 350 people outside lined up to go into the club. And some of them are wearing Darkest Hour shirts and were not at the show.
Oh my God.
And I'm just, and it's awesome because it's just like we're getting beers and we're going to go sit in a circle and we're going to headbang. Like we don't have that outlet anywhere in the States for us just to go get together with our friends and headbang like that. Yeah. Awesome that they have it, but it was still just like, why didn't you guys come to the show?
Yeah, you could come see actual musicians play the song.
But I think that's where the AI thing might be going, right? Is that like, is it going to matter in 20 years that a band is playing it live? Or is whatever generation is coming next going to even care that it's AI or not AI? Will they be, like the way kids growing up now don't know a world without the internet. Like everything is connected to, we had a power outage here a couple weeks ago. That power was out for 11 hours and the internet got shut down. And like the whole country power was out. It was wild.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. Some crazy fucking solar storm or something, or maybe that was a conspiracy theory.
Lots of conspiracies there. What they said was like 15 gigawatts just disappeared off the grid, and then everything shorted.
Weird.
So who knows why? Something above my pay grade, figuring out how that happened. But it was like it was like the end of the world for people to not have the internet. So now let's go forward another 20 years, and if AI is going to be generating songs at the clip it's doing now, what's it going to be doing in 20 years? Are people even going to value live music? Is that going to be? Is it generationally going to die? You know, like it's something.
It
really
might become
wild
one
to
of those
about.
things where it's like, let's go do what people used to do, and it's like a niche thing. You go like see a band play live, or kind of like, you know, movie theaters are dying. People sit at home and watch Netflix because it's, you know, you could pause it, you can get food out of your kitchen, you can lay on your couch. Like, I don't go to the movie theater anymore.
And what about when there's AI movies? When there's not even movies made by people anymore, they're just going to be
happen
AI.
for sure.
It's right down the road.
Look how good it already looks. You can almost not tell. And it's just like small little things now. Like, I'm seeing there's so many fake accounts on Instagram that's like, it'll show me like a model and it's not even a real person. And you go and it's like someone created this account and this fake person, and they just post pictures of them all the time because they're trying to monetize it. It's got 100,000 followers. And it's like, I can still tell if I look and like, oh, her neck moved weird here when she turned her head or something. But like, imagine just 2 years from now. Yeah. 2 years from now, we won't be able to tell.
No, not at all. So it is like it's scary sometimes, but it is also, why is AI making all the art and not doing all the stuff none of us want to do? Like, why is AI responsible for making art? Like, who did this? This is a terrible idea.
I thought it was going to take over like the jobs nobody wanted first, like factory jobs and things. I guess we need the hardware to catch up for robotics so you can put that inside. But then that's when it gets real scary because we the Terminators are walking around.
Yep. Hey, do you think The Matrix is a sequel to The Terminator?
I've never heard that theory.
Yeah, they're in the same universe, man. I'm convinced of it.
Oh, that could, yeah. I mean, the machines took over, right? And then they enslaved humans as batteries.
Yep.
Wow, that I never thought about that. I can't believe it.
Now, I have not seen whatever the last 3 Terminator movies were. I think T3 was the last one I saw, but like, still, I believe that they're in the same unit. But no, the Cyberdyne systems will take us all over, and we will be slaves to the robots. It's going to happen.
How about this? Do you believe it's possible we're already in the Matrix?
It's glitching fair. It is possible. We're all like inside of some sort of like giant, snow globe or whatever. Like all those things are definitely possible. I don't think anything is impossible all the way. There's always a semblance of it could be possibility. If we're living in the Matrix right now, they're doing a pretty good job, and like I'm not that bummed out about it. Like I'm not. I don't see Mr. Anderson anywhere. So
yeah. I used to freak out a lot, like thinking about this stuff. Was always into like the big picture, like what is the universe actually? Where are we? Like what is this? Right. And it used to just like drive me insane. But then I got old enough to go, well, I'll never have the answer, so just like let it go and like ease up on it. I still like talking about it and thinking about it, but I forget who it was on some other podcast talking about creating a simulation. And once we can do that, and you can like put someone, whether it's a headset or something in your brain, and you go inside, and it's no different than this. Once we figure that out and prove it's possible, there's no way to know that this isn't already one of those. And that kind of was like, yeah.
Fair, yeah.
Right?
That's like a Black Mirror episode, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I just go down the rabbit hole in my brain of like, then what is anything? If we're inside of like, am I even me plugged in somewhere, or am I someone else completely? And I like plugged myself in to agree to play to a video game and see how far I can make it in life. Then you come out and you remember, oh, my name's not Paul and I don't look like this. Like,
imagine you could play a video game and be anyone in the world doing anything, and you chose this.
Yeah. It's like that's part of the agreement is you don't know you're in the game, so you have to abide by these rules. And maybe that's what like the the 10 commandments were, you abide by these rules and like shit like that. And then if you break one, you kill yourself. Oh, you got to go back in and do it again. It's like, did I agree to some fucked up shit?
I mean, I think we all agreed to some fucked up shit just by being born,
Yeah.
Like, that's the way it is. The world is going to handle you some fucked up shit, and it's your job to do the best you can with it,
Yeah, I guess we just write metal songs to deal with it.
Yeah, and a million other things. Like we started this podcast talking about like just dealing with the curse of being alive, but it is also the gift of being alive, right? Like what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, that's how you have to reframe it in your head to deal with it. Is like, this is an opportunity to do whatever I want with myself, not, oh, I have to do this and that and it sucks. Like, and I've been through that like in my dark times and shit. Do you think when you like during the break from the band, when you weren't doing anything creative, does that like weigh heavy on you?
I mean, at that point, I wasn't doing anything creative with like music outside of work, I guess. But like I went back to college and there was a lot of creativity in there. And I think being a music teacher gives you a license to be creative in the way, like my job is being creative in a way, which makes it exhausting to try to be creative when you get home as well.
Right.
I talked about it as a philosophical change. Like when I was in Dead to Fall, it was about my passion of music focused inwards on me. And kind of what I talked about, like going to Florida and then people don't know who I am or whatever. But it's about people can say it isn't, but it is about getting on stage and people being there and vibing out to the songs that you wrote. There's a little bit of ego about that. There's a little bit of like, I'm a badass, look at me. Like that's in there whether people want to admit it or not. It's very inwardly focused. And philosophically, I made the decision to take my musicianship and make it outwardly focused and try to like teach people how to make music a part of their life and how to make creative choices for themselves at a young age. And so that's what my teaching philosophy is. It's the same energy. I'm focusing it in a different direction, and it's not about me as much, which in the long run, I think has made me healthier mentally. And I think has made me more in touch with who I am creatively, because it's less about what other people think. It's about what I think, which it's counterintuitive to what I just said, but that's the way it works.
So like during your creative process, this is another thing I heard on a podcast recently. I forget, was it Robert Rodriguez? I think he was just on Joe Rogan, like talking about creating movies and stuff. And I think it was him. I could be wrong, but he said he believes there's like a creative spirit attached to each of us. And when you're kind of writing, and you just need to kind of get out of your own way and like just do it and it'll come out. And it's like why you have that feeling of, once a project is finished, whether it's a song or whatever, that you go, whoa, I don't even know how I did that. Like, where did that come from? And it's like, you just got to let that thing come through. Do you feel that way with like writing lyrics and vocals?
Oh, yeah. And I've heard this. I can't claim this. I heard this on another podcast. I can't tell you exactly where, but it is that if you don't claim that spirit, it will leave you and find someone else. Right. And so like, if you get that vision, you get that moment and you don't take it, that's why the song you started that you didn't finish sounds like somebody else's song. Like that's why that other song that came out that did get finished, that spirit, that energy left you and went to someone else. So I do think like there's this like you can harness and like you're in that flow state when it's like all working and it's just clicking. But it's up to you to claim it and to ride that ride and like to practice it. And creativity is a practiced art form. It is, you get better at it through time. And songwriting, lyric writing, I've had a lot of practice with it in the Dead to Fall era, and now I teach it to kids and they're like, wow, how do you come up with lyrics so fast? I'm like, lyrics I'm coming up with are super dumb. That's the whole point. It's just write something, because what you have right now is nothing, and nothing sucks. So just do something.
It's just like open those floodgates. That's pretty much what it is like just start letting it come through. That it's more that, I feel like, than, of course there's practicing your instrument and the physical, like get your fingers to do this or that. But after that, it's like about getting out of your own way and just letting it come out. Like our last song that I wrote, like it's one of my favorite things I've ever written in any band. And like I go through and like listen to the melodies. I'm like, I don't even know what that chord is. Like, it's just like, I don't know where that came from, because I don't know what that scale is or what this is, but it sounds good to me, and I just let it come out. And it was like, this is one of those things where I was stuck on it forever, but I didn't give up, and I had writer's block, and I just had to wait like 3 weeks. And then I finally sat down again, and it just, the rest came out in one day. It was like beautiful. And it's like a 2.5 minute song, and it's one of my favorite things ever.
Is it recorded yet or no?
It's all demoed out, but now we're gonna have to record it. I think Sean did send a sick like just vocal demo over it, and it's like the lyrics to that are better than Lois. Like it's like the best shit he's ever written. So I can't wait to finish this one up. I'm excited.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's a beast. So I think I'm excited to see what you guys do. I know I think we might share some commonality of a booking agent in some way. There was talk of trying to go out to the West Coast with you guys, but we just couldn't do it.
We're not going to do it now either. It's just a lot this year. There's so much going on with the guys. I'm the only one who doesn't have kids, so like, I'll deal with like the day-to-day shit, and then like that, Nick I think is coaching baseball. He's starting a barbecue business. So there's just so much going on with everybody. Rob leaves for all of July to go to Canada. So we're just going to stick with we're playing Chicago in August 23rd, and then Detroit the day before that. So that's like all we got right now.
That's with Cephal. No, who's that with? It's somebody. It's somebody like that's a reunion of somebody, right?
See You Next Tuesday. And who else? I have to look at the flyer. I think I have it here.
Isn't there a headliner? Like
we're headlining both days.
Oh, you guys are.
Mm-hmm. I think I have the flyer here somewhere.
Where in Chicago is it?
It's at a brewery, something Sheep. I should probably just go to our Instagram, waste time going through my downloads. Oh, wait, here it is. See You Next Tuesday, He Who Corrupts, Something Is Waiting, at Sleeping Village on Belmont Avenue.
Yeah, dude, Sleeping Village is a sick spot. That's a really cool
I saw
spot.
pictures. It looks awesome.
Yeah. And He Who Corrupts are like, and see You Next Tuesday and Something Is Waiting. Those are all homies. Like, those are all great bands.
Yeah, He Who Corrupts are OGs too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We just did a show with them. They did the Villainy show in Chicago, which we used to play with them all the time. Being like one of the other heavier metal bands from Chicago, like we just played a lot together. So it was really fun to get to play with those guys. Make sure that you watch out because they will take their clothes off while they play.
Yeah.
It's just gonna happen.
Thank you for the warning. Definitely will.
I mean, I'm just telling you, you got to watch it. It's worth watching. I didn't tell you to run away. You got to be there. It's worth it.
This flyer too is it's a remake of the Robot Moshfest flyer from 2007 with the I forget which album the artwork is from. Is it fuck? I'm staring at it right here. I can't show you, but I'll send it to you after.
No worries. No, and Something Is Waiting is good friends of ours as well from Chicago. So you guys got a good lineup on that. And then See You Next Tuesday, and then you're in Detroit the next day with them. That'll be awesome.
Detroit the day before with them, I believe.
Okay.
I don't think that lineup's been announced yet, but it probably should be soon. But yeah, it should be there on both days. So I'm excited for that.
We did this show. It was Bleeding Through, Walls of Jericho, us, and then See You Next Tuesday was on that as well in Detroit 2 years ago, I think, and that was sick. Suffocate
I'm so happy
Faster
See You
played
Next
as well.
Tuesday got back together. Like that they're all their new shit is like their best shit, I think.
Well, there you go, man. It's just like our best shit. 25 years later, it just took us a while.
Totally. So that's the question I got to ask you. Are you guys planning to write some new stuff or have anything in the works?
Man, it's I think we have 2 shows we're looking at for the fall. One's a festival in the South, and then one is a Chicago show. That could be possibilities, but me living here makes things quite difficult on basically I have to fly 10 hours, play a show, and then fly 10 hours back to go to work. Right. And that's my whole weekend, which is not something that's super exciting. But it is still just like I have that opportunity. Like it's kind of silly to not take them. But writing stuff has been like we go in waves where we're like, yeah, we can write. And like those 3 songs came out really, really solidly. And honestly, we haven't done anything since 2022 in regards to writing because it's just like we're not even in the same city, let alone getting in the same room. But I do feel like I think I was starting to ask you this if you felt like the creative process was easier when you're with everybody than it is when you're by yourself trying to crank out songs.
Oh yeah, I like being in the room once there's an idea, but if there's nothing, then like it's hard to just like throw out shit and get because like we can't spend the time in the room like we used to, like twice a week, just there every week, no responsibility. So now it's like. Now we're doing once a week on Sunday. Everyone comes in, and then we got to, stay up with the set so we can not lose that. But then to just start from scratch, it's like it's hard when you're old unless something sparks. So like I like to have some kind of idea. I start at home and then bring it, and then we start fleshing that out as a group. And
having that consistent practice every Sunday, like that's outstanding, man. That you guys can get together and do that.
Yeah, we usually do twice a week when we're getting close to shows, but now like with everyone being busy, like let's just do Sundays for now. And then in August we'll pop it back up to twice a week. And
we
Sean's,
do like 3 practices before a show because Tim's in Minneapolis, 2 of the dudes are in Chicago, Justin's in Atlanta, and I'm in Madrid. So like,
yeah,
I usually don't go to any practices before the show. Yeah.
I mean, as long as everyone can play at home and, you know, at least stay up with the songs, then like three is pretty solid. Like I think we had a lot of fear of like sucking on stage. So we kind of overdid it. Like when we played Furnace Fest, like I practiced every day at home, like standing right here.
Yeah.
Never sitting down when I play. So I'd be comfortable. Like we were over prepared for that. But I do think it was probably my favorite show, maybe ever, but definitely of this reunion run. I felt more comfortable when I should have been more nervous.
Yep.
And it just all came out. I felt so natural and like,
did you guys play in the shed?
No, we played the main stage. We opened main stage.
So did we. The year before, 2022, we opened the main stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were hoping for the shed, but then once they told us that, we're like, you want us to open main stage? We're like, okay. Like, didn't know how many people would be there, but it filled in before you know we played. Like,
it's a sick fest, man. They really did a great job bringing it back so much stronger than what it was before. I'm curious what this next lineup. We got offered to play one of the secret shows, but it just wasn't in the cards. Like being in Alabama, there's no direct flight from Madrid, so now it's not that I have to like it's during work, so I already have to call in sick one day, and then like I have to fly to Atlanta, rent a car, drive to Birmingham, and then it just was like there wasn't if like. Got delayed 1.5 hours, I wouldn't have made the set. So like it was just not worth the risk.
Yeah, that's I'll complain about flying to Austin, but when I go visit Gladdy, there's no direct flights to Austin from anywhere except it's like if you're coming from New York or LA. So I complain about that. But then you flying 10 hours, then having to connect, like it sucks.
Yeah,
I'm an old man about traveling in general too. I complain about everything.
It's worth it now to just pay some extra bucks and fly like Delta or fly like a higher class seat and like get a little bit of sleep. Like I've flown so many times across the ocean at this point that I'm just like, I want to be able to get some rest. I can't do the budget airline for international travel. I just can't.
No, definitely not for that. Like, yeah, when I went to visit her for her birthday just last month, I flew first class and I was like, this is just fucking amazing. Like it wasn't that expensive. If it's doable, a few extra $100, you know, depending on when you get the ticket, it's so worth it.
Dude, my wife and I flew Avianca. It's a Colombian airline from Costa Rica when she moved here with our dogs. And we bought the like first class, their business class ticket, but it was like the lay down flat beds.
Oh shit!
I am so spoiled now. I've never had that, and I slept for 4 hours straight through. Like didn't wake up whatsoever. It is the most comfortable flying experience I've ever had in my life. Like
now you don't
I
want to
understand
go back.
why. No, I can't. But it was only like I think like $300 more to buy those tickets than it was to pay for all the extra suitcases we would have had to pay. And one of our dogs is a 43 kilo, which is like over 100-pound kind of Corso Italian Mastiff.
Holy shit!
So
wow.
yeah. So she's a big girl. So we flew with her in those seats, which was nice.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge dog to bring on a plane.
Yeah, she's just a huge dog to have in a tiny apartment in Madrid. Like she's one of the biggest dogs here now at this point. But she's a sweetheart. Like can't live without her. You know.
Right. Yeah, I have two cats. They just turned 14 this year. Got them the same year. Gladdy and I first moved in together when we were living in LA. And like I was always a dog person before that, but I love them to death. Aside from having to take them anywhere, which is just a disaster. I
could imagine. Yeah.
But I love how chill they are. Like I was never a cat person before that. They're just the best, and they're getting old too.
Our dogs are not chill. That is something our dogs are not.
Yeah. And to have a 100-pound dog is not chill.
No, I mean, she's super chill, like when she's cuddly or whatever. But if there's a noise that she doesn't like her bark is ferocious. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's great though. She's great. We don't have kids, but we have dogs, and I'm good with that.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna if you're down, I have a series of some fun rapid fire questions for you.
Let's hit them. Go.
All right. Song that makes you feel like you're floating.
Song that makes me feel like I'm floating. Fuck, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Clair de Lune.
Clair de Lune. I don't know that one.
By Debussy.
Okay. Go-to gas station snack on tour.
This is the poor man's one. It is a pack of 10-cent ramen that you smash up, and then you pour the powder over it and you eat it like chips.
Yes, that's the go-to move. I remember that.
That's the poor man move. I don't know if it's the go-to anymore. The go-to now is a Reese's peanut butter cup because I can't get them here.
Oh, dude, I love those. My favorite fucking treat. First album you ever bought?
First album the whole album. I bought 3 records at the same time. It was Weezer's Blue Album, Offspring Smash, and Nirvana Live Sold Out Tonight.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's good. I think my first record ever was Nimrod by Nirvana that I bought. Or not by Nirvana, by Green Day.
Yeah, by Green Nirvana.
Green Nirvana. Same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you have to cover one pop song. What would it be?
Party in the USA, Miley Cyrus.
Fuck yeah. Best city for late night food after a show?
I mean, I want to say LA because I want to go to In-N-Out Burger because that's it's a classic thing, but it's not that great of a city for food typically. But I'm going to go LA because of In-N-Out Burger.
Okay. Weirdest fan interaction you've ever had?
All right. There was a girl in West Virginia who got a chest piece tattooed on her that really shittily that she had found in a tattoo magazine, that she really liked the chest piece and had like a shitty version of it done on her. And when I saw her, I realized she had the same chest piece as me, and it was my chest piece that she had copied. And that, that was a very, very strange encounter.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. Ninja Turtles or Ghostbusters?
Ninja Turtles.
Ooh, good choice. I can't pick, but the Turtles were my first favorite for sure.
And are we talking cartoon versus cartoon, or are we talking movie versus movie? I mean, there's some differences here. Ninja Turtles 2 versus Ghostbusters 2, I go Ghostbusters 2. First movie, Ninja Turtles. Cartoon, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I would agree there for sure.
Ghostbusters 2 is a great sequel.
It is a great sequel. It doesn't get enough love. All right, Slipknot records, Iowa or self-titled?
Iowa.
Good choice.
I think I was like still kind of poo-pooing on nu metal at that point because I was already into hardcore and I was too cool for it. And then Iowa came out and I was like, all right, there's some pretty heavy shit on here.
Yeah. I was full on nu metal by the time I joined my first band, and they were like already into hardcore and showing me conversion shit, and I got shit on. But I was nu metal up until like nu metal started to fall off. So I was hardcore into it.
Yeah. How many Jenkos did you own?
Oh, probably at least 4 pairs. And
Hell
UFOs, yeah, the fucking UFO pants with the fucking streamers hanging out of the pocket.
Yeah, dude.
I had the shorts and the pants in like 3 colors.
That raver nu metal side hustle right there. Both those companies. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know why I bought them. I just saw a band that I think wear them. I used to have a white pair of UFOs where you could see through them. And I used to wear, I was like, in high school, I still had like Grinch boxers. So I had like neon green Grinch showing through my white UFOs. Nick used to make fun of me. He still never let me hear the end of it.
Oh, that's great, man. The man bought see-through white pants. I mean, like, that was peak life right there.
Yeah. What the fuck was I thinking? Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I mean, I don't understand why it's like hated on so much. Not my preferred topping. I'll go no, but like I'll eat it. It's not that big a deal.
I'm a huge hater. I'm a big no. I think it's treason.
Do you like that Attila song that says that?
No, they have a song about that?
He has a whole rant and a song about it. It's pretty good.
I don't think I've ever listened to Attila, but I know who they are.
Well, you probably be all right not listening to him, but that rant is pretty good.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Okay, last question. So I started an official Riff Tacos playlist for Spotify. So I'm asking every guest to contribute one song. So any genre, anything you want. I'm
putting, I briefly mentioned it earlier, but it was the hardcore song Nine Inch Nails wrote, Wish. That's the song.
Nine Inch Nails, Wish. Got it.
Yep. That might be like my first favorite song, you know?
Fuck yeah. Good suggestion. That's the first Nine Inch Nails song on there. I started out I threw like 20 songs that were meaningful to me growing up, and I've had everyone do one. So I think you're like sick. The eighth person so far. So yeah, I think it'd be a cool thing to have over time, and all kinds of genres and tastes in there.
And then there's like those 2 shitty songs, and then you regret interviewing those people because they ruined the playlist.
Yeah, I'm like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have had them on.
Who put Atlantis Morissette on this?
Well, is there anything else you'd like people to know about or update them on what you guys got planned?
We're going to play some shows when we can play some shows. We're going to write music when it feels right to write music, if we write music. But more than anything, be kind to yourself. Be good to yourself. You're the only you got. And just enjoy life because it's going to keep on ticking, going to pass you by. So do what you got to do. And even though we were talking about it earlier, when the shit gets rough, like, as much as it sucks to say, do trust the process. I didn't mean to like negate that earlier when I said it. But the process does help when you're putting in the work to make yourself feel better, because it's about loving yourself and accepting yourself for who you are. Once you get to that place of like, you know what, I am this person. All the things I like, all the things I don't like, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well said. Yep. I could definitely use some work on that myself still. So
yeah, it's a never-ending process, man. Nobody's perfect. Yep. But you're the only you we got, so fucking be the best you can be, man.
100%. Well, thank you very much for doing this, brother. I really, really enjoyed it, and we'll hopefully be able to catch you guys at a show or see you when you're in the States visiting sometime.
I mean, I've been chatting the whole time to Sean and to Will. I'm like, we have to play shows together. I don't know how we're gonna make it work, when it's gonna happen, but at least if we do a headlining thing in Chicago and we get to pick bands, we'll definitely get you guys on it.
Awesome. Well,
you're on the list.
There. I appreciate it, dude.
If it ever happens. All right.
All right, dude.
Peace, brother.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for listening. You can give Jon a follow at Hunt Horn on Instagram, and obviously Dead to Fall. And,
I don't go on there anymore, but you can follow me if you want.
Never mind. Scratch that. Don't follow him.
Just follow. If you see me in the streets, you can follow me.
What is that light in your living room?
My wife is walking around with a headlamp on right now, putting plants outside because it's going to rain tonight.
And I was like, are the police outside your window? What's happening?
No, we're headlamp people, man. We keep headlamps in our bags just so anytime you need a light, you got one strapped to your head.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Remember to subscribe if you're on YouTube, hit follow if you're on Spotify or Apple, and please leave a rating, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.
Peace.